I was hella premature. Boy, talk about being ahead of yourself. And there's so much going on out there. You know, over the last few weeks, I've been appraising you all about the way that things are going here. And right now, for the fellas out here, for the men out here, ladies, it is a cutthroat situation. It is absolutely devious and gotten worse. But especially in that Atlanta area, man, what is happening in Atlanta with the women? What is going on? I didn't even know that this story was happening out there.
About the Georgia borders.
Commissioner Natalie Hall smacked my hand hard as I tried to ask her about the judge's ruling finding her guilty of sexual discrimination against her former chief of staff, Calvin Brock. Other commissioners say her reaction was highly disappointing.
If you will have that reaction with a person, a well-known person in the media here, what will you do with John Q. Public?
All right, brief aside here. I had seen this story, this particular one from WSB TV Channel 2 in Atlanta, and they have removed the original link. Now, this is Fulton County Commissioner Natalie Hall, Fulton County Commissioner. Fannie Willis is the Fulton County DA. So she's the district attorney of Fulton County, and this is one of the commissioners of Fulton County. And I'm talking about they wow all the way the hell out. But the reason why I'm bringing this up is because WSB TV too, when you see Natalie Hall's, I don't know if that's her assistant or whoever in the world that is with her, you're going to see both her and the assistant smack the newspaper reporter's microphone. In the original video that they have taken down, the news station itself has taken it down from YouTube. In the original video, because if you listen to the audio, you can see that right after she smacks him, she says something, and then you hear the volume just go dead. That's because what the reporter said was, "Oh, you just assaulted me." Now, I don't know if the news station made a decision that they didn't want to go there with it, but I saw the original video and the original report. They've gone back and made a new one that edits that out.
About the Georgia borders.
Commissioner Natalie Hall smacked my hand hard as I tried to ask her about the judge's ruling finding her guilty.
Okay, did you hear that? Did you hear that?
Commissioner Natalie Hall smacked my hand hard as I tried to ask her about the judge's ruling finding her guilty of
Did you hear her when she said that there? The volume dropped real low, but oh, you pushed me, that's assault. Now they removed that. This is not the original clip. I had to go looking for this one because on their YouTube page, they've removed it. They've completely removed the original report where they didn't have her doing audio dubbed on top of herself. They had the original audio and she says it at the beginning and then she said it at the end. So, folks, even with these news outlets now, we're probably going to have to start downloading videos from them when they post them so that they don't have the ability to sit up here and remove it because they're editing their own stuff for reasons I don't know. I don't understand why they did this. But by the way, yeah, that happened. So breaking news here, Channel 2, for whatever reason, edited this. Not really sure why, but did somebody say something? Are they afraid they won't get access to City Hall or the county commission or whatever? Not really sure, but yeah, folks, rewriting the history in real time here. Just thought we'd go into that.
All about the Georgia borders.
Commissioner Natalie Hall smacked my hand hard as I tried to ask her about the judge's ruling finding her guilty of sexual discrimination against her former chief of staff, Calvin Brock. Other commissioners say her reaction was highly disappointing.
If you will have that reaction with a person, a well-known person in the media here, what will you do with John Q. Public?
In this 67-page decision, the judge found Fulton County liable for sex discrimination but not retaliation and ordered the county to pay Brock back pay with interest, front pay, compensatory damages, and attorney's fees. Brock sued the county, not Hall individually. But the decision also requires sexual harassment training for Commissioner Hall and a public posting of a notice of discrimination throughout county buildings. Today, commissioners decided not to fight the judge's order with an appeal.
We could lose, first of all, and it could really escalate the settlement.
By the way, that guy right there, I forget, I don't know who he is on the commission or whatever. I think he's like the head of the commission, but a few years back, he was in a thing about, using a commission car. So they are just overstepping their boundaries, but she's taking it to a whole new level. So she's the county commissioner, and she had this fellow working for her, and she's like, okay, there's not that many available black men, but this one is under lock and key because I say so.
Really escalate the settlement.
I was at the hearing when Brock accused Hall of firing him for refusing to have an exclusive sexual relationship with her. The judge also found Hall put trackers in Brock's cars to listen to his conversations and to stalk him. The Fulton County Commission censured Hall in September, even before the judge's order, but they cannot fire her because she is an elected official. Commissioners say that will be up to voters in November.
Taxpayer dollars to pay for the lack of judgment of a sitting elected official?
Taxpayer dollars to pay for the lack of judgment of a sitting elected official. And I just couldn't help but notice some similar. Ladies, it's rough in Atlanta, ain't it? I mean, y'all ain't even playing anymore. It is all the way rough in Atlanta now. Y'all ain't even taking prisoners anymore. The women aren't even taking prisoners anymore. Now, want to give you a little bit of background on this because you heard them say some things during that report. You heard them say some things. I went back to check on this. There's from Fox 5 Atlanta, and they had a report back in August. So 5 months ago, they did a report on this when the allegations were breaking to explain how the allegations broke. And once again, things are about to sound very familiar.
Camelia Harris is an ex-girlfriend of former Chief of Staff Calvin Brock. Harris told the court County Commissioner Natalie Hall interfered in her relationship with Brock, and she says the elected official's meddling was the reason the relationship ended. Harris, who is a business owner and mother, says she called her boyfriend Brock in March of 2020, but it was Commissioner Hall who answered the phone. Harris says the commissioner would not give her name but claimed she was Brock's fiancée. Ms. Harris.
Well, so did you get that? So the commissioner is messing around with this dude. So old boys, I guess he was a single mom. All right, I ain't hating on you, bro. Do what you do. The single mom was like, oh, we gonna show out because she's gonna keep her dude. And the commissioner's like, he was your man, but since he's in my bed, I guess he's my man now. And old boy is like, okay, well, let me play both sides against the middle. I guess he's like, look, I work for whatever. Yeah, I'm trying to stick with old girl. Hey, let's chill on what we've been doing, Miss Commissioner. I'm gonna see if I can work it out with old girl. And the commissioner's like, oh no. Once you in, you don't get out. You don't get out. You a black male. You are healthy. You're heterosexual. You're available. You're gainfully employed. You're of the right age. Oh no. I'm going to the wall for you. I'm going to the wall.
Ended. Harris, who is a business owner and mother, says she called her boyfriend Brock in March of 2020, but it was Commissioner Hall who answered the phone. Harris says the commissioner would not give her name but claimed she was Brock's fiancée. Ms. Harris told the court later that day she began receiving text messages from an untraceable number stating that Brock had spent the night with an unidentified woman. Harris says she told Hall in a text, quote, I will handle this with Brock, and you just ended his career. The 44-year-old said she hired a private investigator
Okay, let me back that up so you all can hear how this went down now. So much for the sisterhood, especially once they hit a certain age. Let me tell you, when these chicks hit a certain age today, fellas, it is ruthless. If you're a black male who is heterosexual and available, and you stack on top of that, if you gainfully employed, your money is straight, it's a ruthless environment. They will get you by hook or by crook. If they could put a chain around your neck and shackle you, they would literally. I'm not joking right now. The environment we're in today, the females are so ultra masculine, so mannish, so barbaric. If they could literally put a shackle on us, if they could literally put us into chattel slavery, they do it. If they could find a law that says that. If you can make a law that says, he's physically obligated to keep giving me affection. Now, of course, when men get divorced and like, you can't do that, that's rapey. But for the fellas, no, this is where we are today, not where we're on our way to. We're here right now. Now, I want you to listen to the details again. Remember, this woman here on the screen is a Commissioner Hall. The first woman here, she's the chick that her chief of staff was dating. And she's the one who blew the whistle on what Hall was doing. Because she's like, hey, she sitting up here running around with my dude. And then she's threatening his job because she's like, okay, I won. He don't really want to be with you like that. And then she's like, oh, well, if he go with you, he can go ahead and lose his job. He can take his job with him when he go.
Harris says the commissioner would not give her name, but claimed she was Brock's fiancée. Ms. Harris told the court later that day she began receiving text messages from an untraceable number stating that Brock had spent the night with an unidentified woman. Harris says she told Hall in a text, quote, I will handle this with Brock, and you just ended his career. The 44-year-old said she hired a private investigator to figure out who was texting her. She says the PI told her the untraceable number came back to Commissioner Hall. Harris told the court she is the one who filed the anonymous complaint about the sexual affair between.
Wow. Fellas, these chicks today are ruthless. Now, let me go ahead. Can you all see what's on the screen there? Take a look at what's on your screen. Now, this is the girlfriend and whatnot, and she's just like, okay, this is how much they fighting over these men. This is how desperate it's gotten. This is how far they're fighting over us today. It says, I am writing to notify you of an urgent concern / suspicious activity of elected official Commissioner Natalie Hall, who represents District 4 of Fulton County, Georgia. Per your code of ethics, improper conduct or performance which impairs or reflects adversely upon the integrity, efficiency, good order of operations of the Fulton County government is prohibited. Boy, do you see how far she is going with this? Oh, she's like, I'm attorney Matlock, but here's the thing.
With Brock, and you just ended.
Go back and listen to this again.
Friend Brock in March of 2020. Owner and mother says she called her boyfriend Brock in March of 2020, but it was Commissioner Hall who answered the phone. Harris says the commissioner would not give her name, but.
Okay, so Harris is the girlfriend here. She was dating Dude. Dude was sneaky linking with the commissioner because he was her chief of staff. Now, you hear what the girlfriend says, right?
Harris says the commissioner would not give her name, but claimed she was Brock's fiancée. Ms. Harris told the court later that day she began receiving text messages from an untraceable number stating that Brock had spent the night with an unidentified woman. Harris says she told Hall in a text, quote, I will handle this with Brock, and you just ended his career.
So the girlfriend told the commissioner, I will handle this with him, and you just ended his career. Really? Really? Fellas, I mean, this is where we at today.
This with Brock, and you just ended his career. The 44-year-old said she hired a private investigator to figure
44. 44. Ladies, if y'all want to know why it is that fellas today are saying, you know what, they don't want to fool with nothing over the age of 25, it's because once you all hit 30, 35, God forbid 40 or something, once you all hit there, y'all are just, it's over. They're over the cuckoo's nest. It's psycho. They'll take themselves out, and the dude, y'all just is highway to hell. Is a suicide mission. It's kamikaze out here. It is all or nothing. They don't care. You just take themselves down and you go on with them. That's literally where we are today. So she said, I'll handle this with him, and you just ended his career. Really? This is the girlfriend? No wonder he running around with the commissioner.
Paul in a text, quote, I will handle this with Brock, and you just ended his career. The 44-year-old said she hired a private investigator to figure out who was texting her. She says the PI told her the untraceable number came back to Commissioner Hall. Harris told the court she is the one who filed the anonymous complaint about the sexual affair between Hall and Brock on the Fulton County whistleblower anonymous complaint about the sexual the court. She is the one who.
All right, so you got a scorned ex-girlfriend, a single mom. Okay. Next thing you know, county commissioner, here we go. These chicks are older. They got baggage. This is a rundown of all the red flags they tell you about. All right. She went here and said there are not only reliable observations, but discoverable telecommunications of an inappropriate relationship / fraternization in the workplace that Ms. Hall is having with her chief of staff, Mr. Calvin Brock. Upon investigation, you may discover other violations as it relates to hiring irregularities and the misrepresentation of the staff's educational achievements that can't be validated beyond a transcript. A lot of women don't really realize that how they put the single in single mom. This is, by the way, ma'am, look at her. Boy, she looks dressed. Doesn't she look cute with the filters on and everything? It's like, okay, she's not 500 pounds, and yet she puts the single in single mom. You want to know why? You want to know why? She sits up here and is like, okay, you're no better than the commissioner. It's like, okay, if I can't have him, it's not like if I can't have him, no one will. Wow. All right. And then the women of Atlanta wonder why the men in Atlanta are like, yeah, we good on relationships, marriage. We good. Yeah, we're all right. We're okay. Let us just keep our options open. We're all right. You want to know why? Yeah, you already know why. Additionally, you may find unethical external relationships that violate oath and campaign funding, etc. I am deeply concerned that the actions described above constitute not only abuse of power, but a violation of oath and poses a significant conflict of interest concerning public policy, public representation, and the leadership ability within the state of Georgia. As a U.S. citizen, oh, please. This is Fulton County. You can say as a county citizen, if she lives in the county, because she probably doesn't. She wasn't an employee. As a U.S. citizen, I am fulfilling my duty to report this information through proper channels to the relevant authorities. I am concerned that these inappropriate behaviors pose a risk to the state of Georgia and Fulton County specifically and undermine the U.S. government efforts to deter and counter such erroneous and derogatory behavior. There is already a lack of trust that exists among citizens and the local and state government, and to know that the wife of a previously respected constituent would tarnish the image of our city government is highly disreputable. Aren't you the one who said that, by the way, you're going to try to ruin this fella's career? Aren't you the one who said that? Aren't you the one who said that?
I will handle this with Brock, and you just ended his career. The 44-year-old said she hired a private investigator to figure out who was texting her. She says the PI told her the untraceable number came back to Commissioner Hall. Harris told the court she is the one who filed the anonymous complaint about the sexual affair between Hall and Brock on the Fulton County Whistleblower Hotline. County Auditor Anthony Nix testified he never investigated the complaint because it came into the county on an employee tip line, and Harris was not an employee.
But she is. Take a look at those eyes there, too, by the way. Looks like a former fatty. So, fellas, you gotta watch. There's all kinds of red flags. You all don't want to know the whole list of red flags. Former fatty, tats, brats, and ats, plants and pets. There's a list of issues and red flags that men, it's just like I say, because it constitutes like 99% of the female population, to be totally honest. That list there, I really just eliminated like 90% when you think about it. 90% when you think about it. So, but you can take a look and see. This is the typical, quote, educated black woman in Atlanta uniform. This will be the chick who will get on TikTok or Facebook or Instagram and say, I'm a beautiful black woman and I'm not fat and I'm not ugly and these men just don't want to be with me. No, not about cheekbones, dude. Look at that chin. Okay, I'm just saying those filters are smoothing things out. She'll be the one. This will be one of those chicks who's sitting on TikTok or Instagram talking about these men just don't want an intelligent female. They just don't want a sensible woman. Y'all just want to chase them thoughts. Okay. This is your intelligent female here. This is her right here. Old boy was stuck between the devil and the deep damn blue sea. I mean, what's he supposed to do? So, yeah. So anyway, he's stuck between two of them because basically what's happening there is he's sitting up here with this chick here. Now, he's got the baby, the single mom he was dating here, who obviously he doesn't have any job or occupation or career of any significance since she got time to do this. And yet, she's the one sitting up here trying to snitch deliberately to try to make him lose his position. Then the chick that he is sitting up here sneaking around with, she's sitting up here putting trackers on his car. She is monitoring him, putting trackers on his car, putting listening devices. I'm like, now this is a crime. Where the hell is the Georgia Bureau of Investigations? This is a crime, isn't it? Because if a man was doing this to a woman, they'd have been booked him. She gets to sit up here and slap listening devices on the car and put trackers on the car. This is straight up stalking. So this is between the two of them. No, I am not gonna blame this man. I can't blame him. Blame him for what? For being a single black man with broad shoulders in the city of Atlanta and the females are digging him? Blame him for what? It's a city full of crazy hoes. Did he say crazy hoes? I sure did.
And deal with it, nigga.
But it's true. But it's damn true. Just saying. You got a city full of absolutely crazy females, and they're getting older, and the more aged out they get, the more desperate they're getting. They've just pulled out all the stops. So that's it. So in reality, and here's the other thing right here, Fannie Willis, I mean, do you all see a thing right here? Okay, these are women who are sleeping with the men who are with other women. Fannie Willis said, you know what? I'll just lay up with you till you and your wife get this divorce thing settled out. I don't worry, that's not an issue. I'll lay it with you till y'all get that straightened out. And here, that was the district attorney. Now you got the a county commissioner who's like, yeah, don't worry. I ain't worried about you and old girl. I'm not worried about you and old girl at all. Ladies, now here's the crazy thing. The females will then immediately jump up and try to blame the men and say that it's our fault. Y'all shouldn't be XYZ. They ain't saying nothing about all these females who are just, the doors are wide open. Fellas, I'm just saying, what the hell? I can't take a fella seriously who's talking about he doesn't have any sexual access. I mean, you're just some kind of weirdo or something. I can't take you seriously. Dude, these chicks are out here tripling and quadrupling up. They're tripling and quadrupling up. Well, Jason, but take a look at what was going on here. Folks, she crazy. You can look at her and see the broad is crazy. But you also know what that means. Damn. That means this chick is liquid dynamite in bed. That's what it means. That means that she is quadruple X-rated. That means, let's take a look at those white teeth. She do everything. She does everything. Not everything, everything. That's the problem. Oh, and then I bet you he felt he was living that life. He didn't have just one crazy one. He got one crazy and one absolute psycho. He's got one certified crazy and one certified lunatic. I mean, for a minute there, he was living the dream. I gotta keep it 100 with y'all. For a minute there, he was living the dream. Could you imagine that? If you can just keep both of them settled and civil for a little while, you are living the dream, dude. He's got not one but two insane chicks chasing him. How am I supposed to get mad at a man for exercising all of his options and enjoying the good life? How am I supposed to get upset about that? How? If anything, the females are the ones messing up. She should have just stayed in her damn lane. If he was willing to come see you in between the other chick, you're supposed to keep your damn mouth shut. That's what you're supposed to do. You need a man around anyway for little Larry and Pookie Jr. And the damn commissioner, she should have just got in where she fit in. She should have just known, ain't no way in the hell this nigga gonna sit up here and, baby, look here, you aged out the damn game. Just give it up. These chicks just need to accept where they are, okay? Ladies, it is the 21st century. Y'all have train wrecked the damn game. You have set up here and killed chivalry. You set up here and opened up sexual options, and now you're upset when there are men who know how to outplay the game. You have the things that you actually want in men, you've neutered it through single mother culture. Now you've got this absolute drought of the type of males that you really want to have. There's this outrageous shortage of them. And so literally for every 10 of you, there's one of us. You all outnumber us literally 10-1. The type of men that you all actually desire are actually 1% of the population. And by some of my estimates here, it's actually less than 1%. If you just throw in, they want height, age, heterosexuality, income, ambition, and status. I mean, just that status one alone eliminates 85-90% of the men. That one right there alone. Then you add all those other characteristics. He needs to be a certain age. Bam. Okay. Man, look here. You're really dealing with less than 1% of the population. I'm just saying, take a look at the fella here. He looks like he used to play football. Look at him. He's head and shoulders over people. Don't you know these broads in Atlanta are like, oh, hold on. And that pen he has on, I'd like to get a closer look at that. It looks kind of familiar. I don't want to say it's the Marine one, but that pen he's wearing. I'm just saying, you all can see this right here. The ladies in Atlanta, they're like, hey, look here. He got the cut and everything. He's got the cut and everything. The cut, the glasses, that's it. Right where this is exactly what the women are looking for. Exactly what they're looking for. And they sat up here and blew it up. They sat up here and blew it up. Sabotaged it. This is how cutthroat and ruthless the competition is in Atlanta today. Now, this is in the professional corridors. We're talking about in the highest profile, in the ones where there's spotlights and lights on everything. And this is what the women are doing across the damn board. Do you realize we got 2 black men and 4, possibly 5 women? Do you understand that? The 2 stories we're talking about here, Fannie Willis and Natalie Hall, we're only talking about 2 black men, but we're talking about 2 black men and 4, possibly more females. I'm pretty sure there were more. I will put any amount of money you want on it that there were more. And it's the men, but somehow it's not the women's fault. It's the men's fault because reasons. So I was a little bit premature, folks. Let me tell you right now. These are just the ones we know about. Do you know how many others are going on out there we don't know about? Look, you are in the age where these women are like, look, we're going to force a relationship. Because that's where this really came from is the Fulton County Commission is like, look, nigga, we're going to have a relationship whether you want to or not.
You will have that reaction with a person, a well-known person in the media here. What will you do with John Q. Public?
In this 67-page decision, the judge found Fulton County liable for sex discrimination but not retaliation and ordered the county to pay Brock back pay with interest, front pay, compensatory damages, and attorney's fees. Brock sued the county, not Hall individually. But the decision also requires sexual harassment training for Commissioner Hall and a public posting of a notice of discrimination throughout county buildings. Today, commissioners decided not to fight this.
So old boy's gotten paid for it, but I'll be damned. This is how far they're willing to go. And then if you want to know something else, take a look at the kind of chick she is. So this right here shows you what kind of female we got going on. Not only was she cheating with him on another, helping him cheat on another woman, or at least maybe not cheat. She was just the side chick. It probably wasn't even cheating, by the way. It probably was not cheating. She was the side chick. This is how the side chick is acting with cameras rolling.
Is that all about the Georgia borders?
Commissioner Natalie Hall smacked my hand hard as I tried to ask her about the judge's ruling finding her guilty. Smacked my hand hard as I tried to ask.
Okay. And she got thought back up. And she got back up with her. So I'm just saying, this is how she's acting in public with cameras rolling everywhere. Can you imagine the hell that this man had to go through all this damn time? He has my sympathy. I'm glad he got paid, but the real problem here is that females today are the ones with lack of options. They're the ones with lack of options, and they're now saying that they're going to force us as men to have relationships with them. This is where we're at today. They're now saying we're going to use the system to coerce men and force men to have relationships with them. And that if you don't want to have a relationship, we're going to try to hurt you. I'm going to try to, you just ruined his career. You just ended his career. Really? Why isn't the media investigating this person on the screen? Why are they not investigating her? It's like, hey, hold on a second. You're not a good citizen. You're just a scorned girlfriend who's upset because old dude was like, hey, exclusivity with you is not an option. Instead of you accepting what your marketplace value is, hey, we in Atlanta, exclusivity with you is not an option. It just ain't. And instead of her just being like, okay, I'm cool with it, or okay, let me dip out, instead it's, oh, I'm going to get him. Now it's backfired, but she literally said what her intent was, oh, I'm going to end his career. Wow. Think about that for a few moments. So she's not going anywhere. Fellas, pay attention to that. She ain't going nowhere, and now she wants to make sure that he doesn't go anywhere either. She's already peaked. That's it. When she threw it up for Pookie or Ray Ray or whoever the hell she got the kids with, she already peaked. She was already done. And instead of her accepting that that is the reality and she needs to conform to that, she's like, oh no, I'm going to go steal me a man. I'm going to go take me a man. And it's an epidemic because he jumped from her straight to another chick who's like, oh, I'm going to take me one too. You figure that these are women over the age of 40. Listen to me, over the age of 40. Over 40. You would think that all the immaturity was gone. These are the most immature, volatile, unstable. Think about this for a few moments. Unstable. Over the age of 40 and unstable as hell. Oh yeah, not only that, they got little degrees and a little authority and whatnot. So I'm so glad the fellas were ignoring her when she first filed her complaint and whatnot. But obviously it made some complications. She ought to be sitting on the damn stand getting sued too, by the way. She's not a good person. So before the women out there all get angry and upset and every damn thing else, I want you all to understand this is what we're really looking at. This is the environment that we're really in. Not the fantasy world you tell yourselves about. This is what's actually going on. You got females now telling us you better have a relationship with me. I'm gonna make you have a relationship with me. No, I'm not trying to do none of that. Oh, yes, you will. I'm like, wow. Yeah, this is real rapey. Oh, you're going to have a relationship with me. So he got the first chick who is so damn psycho that she's talking about, if you're not gonna be with me, I'm gonna ruin your career. Then he goes to this second woman and she's sitting up here putting trackers in the car and every damn thing else. So both of these women just went straight over the ledge, right over the cliff, going into criminal behavior. And this is just in Atlanta. Just in Atlanta. Folks, this is common in New York, DC, Los Angeles. Man, this is common. This is not the exception. This is common. We're just talking. Atlanta is obviously showing all the hell the way out right now, but this is common. Fellas, to the men listening, if I'm telling the truth that this is common today, with females saying, oh, you gon' have a relationship, give me the dagger emoji in the chat room and hit the likes button for me. There's over 2,400 people in here live tonight. And I understand that this may be a little bit unsettling to some people here, but we need to go ahead and tell the truth about this. So if I'm telling the truth here, fellas, that this is common, Atlanta is a worst case scenario, but it's hardly isolated. Give me the dagger emoji and hit the likes button for me. Because this story needs to be told about what we dealing with here. And to the women, stop the shameful behavior, stop being disingenuous, and stop being silly. It's not the men. The women are out here literally threatening their jobs, threatening their safety, threatening their careers if you don't have a relationship with them. You're going to have a relationship with me or else. Oh, you're a black male who's heterosexual, employed, and available? Oh, you're not available anymore. You will be with me or else. You're going to be with me or else. And I'd like to tell you all that's an isolated incident. I'd like to tell you all that was it. But we need to do a little bit of housekeeping here. Need to do a little bit of housekeeping so that we don't fall behind on those things, because just understand, in case nobody was letting you know, we got updates on a few things. I've got updates on a few things here. I said it. Nobody else was saying it. I was bringing it up from the very, very beginning. It was ultra controversial when I was saying it. It was ultra controversial. Today, people are actually starting to admit to it and starting to concede to what you all heard before. What you're seeing happen in Fulton County is the Cassie effect. We're going to get to that here in just a few moments. Cassie, you know, who sued P. Diddy. It's the Cassie effect. And I was saying this when she first filed that bogus lawsuit. I was saying what it was really about, and I was saying who it was who was really pushing the events. This is her husband, Alex Fine. Alex is nowhere near the stratosphere of Sean Combs. But old boy has felt some kind of way. He has felt some kind of way about the fact that his woman gave her best to Sean Combs, and she brought him the leftovers after they got thoroughly run through. And then there's this picture right here. This picture right here was put up 4 days ago. And now when I was saying it, folks wanted to argue about it when I was saying it. But when you take a look at the comments section, you see something here. Now, you can see old boy is acting like he's pimp-tastic and whatnot. This is how we pick Franks and Sons up from school. Really? Really? But then you take a look at the comments section. Took them millions and went and got fresh. I see y'all. LOL. The coolest power couple. You are the dumbest power individual. Alex running up that check. The white man getting ready to rob her blind. The comments section is going in on them with the things that I was saying here a month ago. With the things that I was saying from day one, 2 months ago. I've been saying it since day one. The rest of the world is now finally coming around and saying what I was saying the whole time about who was pushing this, what it was. Folks, if folks wanted to argue with me, remember, they'll folks in the chat room, Jason, you shouldn't go there with it. That ain't right, man. You don't want to go there with it. Okay, I went there with it. I stood on it. I never backed down. Oh, yeah, by the way, did you check the mail? Because I did. Did you check the mail? Because I did. So you can see who it is who has been pushing the events. You can see who's been pushing it. And oh, yeah, by the way, take a look at the body language here. Look who's standing in front. Do you see that? Oh, I'm going there with that. Look who's standing in front. Even though he's taller than her. By the way, do you notice who's standing in front? Oh, body language says a hell of a whole lot. He's like, if I got to be with P. Diddy's leftovers, oh, you gonna break a bag. Just saying. We've entered the era of the Cassie effect. We've entered that era here, and there are some individuals who may have discounted it, but they are going to find that out, unfortunately, the hard way. They're going to find it out, unfortunately, the hard way, because no less than Vincent Kennedy McMahon. Vince McMahon, someone that individuals like myself, we've watched and witnessed our whole lives and seen what he did. It was nothing short of phenomenal in the WWE. It set the tone for decades now. And yet, now there's a lesson to be learned here tonight, and I'm warning you all in advance. Now, you know me. I go and get the paperwork. I get the documentation so we can run these things down. Last year, Vince McMahon was basically chased out of his own company. He didn't give up his stocks, but he was forced to basically step down as chairman. Put his daughter in place. There were allegations of sexual harassment and misconduct, so on and so forth. But now we're getting the whole story because the woman who filed the original complaints, the original lawsuits, that woman is back. She's back with a new lawsuit. She's back with a new one. And this time, as I told you all before, it's the Cassie effect. I was warning people about this. Jason, what do you mean the Cassie effect? She signed an NDA. She signed an NDA, and yet in this lawsuit, she goes into gruesome detail about what allegedly occurred. She goes into gruesome detail. How could she do that? Because now she's claiming that a crime was committed. What's the crime? Why, sex trafficking. In other words, the same con that Cassie ran. Well, if you accuse them of a crime, the real thing is to be able to put the lawsuit out that goes into all the gruesome details, and that's going to put pressure on them to pay us more money. What I'm going to do is I'm actually going to go through this lawsuit with you all. I'm actually going to go through this lawsuit with you. I'm not going to do all 67 pages, but we're going to cover quite a few of them because I want you to understand what really went on here. And I want you to understand the extent to which these chicks are going to force a relationship. And if they can't get it, we gonna cash out. If we can't get the relationship we want, we're going to try to cash out. And if we can't cash out, we're going to see if we can ruin you. And if we can't ruin you, we're going to set ourselves on fire and run around the parking lot, apparently. Now, plaintiff Janet Janelle is a former employee at WWE. These are her attorneys talking, who is the victim of physical and emotional abuse, sexual assault, and trafficking at WWE. The two met in 2019 when Ms. Grant was dealing with profound grief and struggling financially after devoting years to around-the-clock caregiving. Her parents passed away. On top of that, she was unemployed and her family home was lost in her parents' bankruptcy. After her family passed away, Ms. Grant dedicated herself to finding gainful employment. Neighbors in her building provided career advice and sought her assistance with personal events. Ms. Grant used these non-paying roles and volunteer work and community initiatives to build her resume. Now, this is like 2019, people, not 1989. 2019. The economy was fantastic. They were in Hartford, Connecticut, I think it was, or Stanford. And yes, she's saying she couldn't get a job. Really? The building's resident manager wanted to help. She messaged McMahon. She's talking about Vince. The building's resident manager was able to contact Vince McMahon. I think they lived in the same building. So go figure. So she's living in the same building with a billionaire. Okay. All right. All right. Tells you a few things there. She messaged McMahon to ask whether he would talk to her, sharing that Miss Grant had been through hardship and would do great things if given a fresh start. McMahon enthusiastically responded, "Hell yes!" McMahon befriended Miss Grant, giving her hopes of a new life with promises of a yet-to-be-determined role at WWE and showering her with attention and assurances, along with gifts like a VIP experience at WrestleMania. But what seemed like a dream in the spring of 2019 quickly became a nightmare. So in other words, the Cassie effect. These are the same things that Cassie said in her lawsuit, remember? That because the guy was doing so much for her, that was an issue. As McMahon dangled career-making and life-changing promises in front of Miss Grant, sound familiar? He demonstrated an increasing lack of boundaries. During several meetings that were ostensibly about a potential job at WWE, he greeted her in his underwear, touched her, repeatedly asked for hugs, and spent hours sharing intimate details about his personal life. Now listen here. Did you see that? During several meetings that were ostensibly about a potential job at WWE. Potential. Oh, so in other words, you were not an employee at the time. You were not an employee. He was doing this stuff and you were not an employee. Did you get that? So they had to disclose that, by the way, oh yeah, she was already turning tricks and doing things before. Huh? She was not an employee when she started this. Let's go ahead and deal with the details. She was not an employee. Now she wants to scream bloody murder, but by the way, by your own admission, you claim that this stuff started before you ever became an employee, and yet you were foot to the floor to say, hey, let me in. By the way, she knew he was a married man. By the way, you notice they ain't said nothing about him being married yet. Not yet. You notice in here, they're not saying anything about, by the way, she knew he was a married man. We'll get to that. Don't worry. That's in the lawsuit. McMahon warned Ms. Grant to keep their closeness secret, lest rumors lead to public trouble, and added that while he protects loyal people, he had world-class legal resources on speed dial to deal with people who became a problem. As such, when McMahon pushed Ms. Grant for a physical relationship in return for long-promised employment at WWE, she felt trapped in an impossible situation. What? Oh, okay. It's one thing to say he was controlling you before. It's one thing to say he was doing that before, but wait a minute. I mean, but after you got employed, but you're claiming he was doing it before? How much control does he have of somebody who doesn't even work for him? I felt trapped. I did whatever he said and went to work for WWE because I felt trapped. Wait a minute. Okay, you were trapped before you were an employee? You were trapped when you were still just a person walking around the building. Why, yes, I had to go to work for him and I had to turn sex tricks for him because I had to. She felt trapped in an impossible situation, submitting to McMahon's sexual demands or facing ruin. Facing ruin? How? He doesn't even work. You don't even work for him. Ms. Grant feared she had everything to lose and faced negative consequences no matter what happened. She had everything to lose. She wasn't even working for him yet. What did you have to lose? Seems to me you had everything to gain. Then she's like, I had everything to lose. Oh, really? After succumbing to the pressure for a physical relationship, Ms. Grant was slotted into an entry-level position as an administrator coordinator, a position McMahon created for her in WWE's legal department. Ms. Grant began work in that role on June 17th, 2019. They met in March 2019. 90 days later, she felt trapped. People, 90 days, 3 months. 3 months she felt trapped by a man you don't even work for or somebody you just met 90 days ago. You're trapped? What the hell? You all know this is nonsense, but this is the Cassie effect. Ms. Grant remained in that role with the exception of a temporary relocation to XFL, Extreme Football League, until McMahon verbally directed her to transfer to the Talent Relations Department, reporting to defendant John Laurinaitis on March 9th, 2021. John Laurinaitis used to be a wrestler at the company and whatnot, and then Vince moved him into management, and it looks like now we know why. During a conversation the same day, McMahon explained that her presence in the legal department was effectively delaying efforts to hire a new general counsel for the company. McMahon and Laurinaitis informed Ms. Grant that she would be promoted to Vice President of Operations in the Talent Relations Department, providing her with an organizational chart reflecting this decision. Shortly thereafter, this is where Vince made his mistake. See, she can say all this other bull crap up here, but this doesn't have any standing. So the lawyers can put this in the document, but this has no standing. This doesn't mean anything. This part right here is the problem. I'm going to promote you, and what the lawyers are saying, he provided her with an organizational chart reflecting this decision. Now, remember, this is 2 years later now. 2 years later. They met in March 2019. 2 years later, in March of 2021. So it wasn't like he just hired her and then up the ladder she goes. So it's 2 years later. But what they're saying is that he gave her documentation showing her promotion within the company. That actually matters when you're trying to craft a narrative. Shortly thereafter, they informed her that they needed her to begin at a lower level as a director, but promised her promotion to vice president after a 12-month period. Despite Ms. Grant's expressions of unhappiness and attempts to end the sexual relationship, now did you hear that part? This is where you get into trouble. For those of you who want to know what the problem is or what the issue is here, the issue here is that what they're claiming is that, okay, you had a sexual relationship with her and a professional relationship, and that she is saying that she wants to keep the professional relationship, but she wants to end the personal one. That's the argument that they're making here. That she wanted to end the personal one. So that's the part they're hammering on. I want to end the sexual relationship, even though she has a professional relationship with him also. So this is the bait and switch. This is how you get trapped. So you might use the money and stuff to lure her in. She's like, once I'm inside, it's like, oh, once you give me a job, you can't let me go now. If you ever do, I'm going to tell people that you did it because now I don't want to sleep with you anymore. But I just did this to get the job. Now that I got the job, I don't want to sleep with you anymore. And if you ever try to get rid of me, I'm going to tell people it's because you did it only because it's retaliation because I stopped sleeping with you. Whether it's 1 year, Cassie, 5 years, Bill Cosby, 40 years from now. "40 years. Despite Ms. Grant's expressions of unhappiness and attempts to end the sexual relationship, and while she came to understand that McMahon expected the physical relationship to continue as part of her employment, she had no idea how sordid it would become, nor how the psychological torture and physical violence would leave her feeling helpless, isolated, and trapped. Boy, they're working this word trapped, aren't they? In March 2020, we're going backwards now, McMahon began sharing sexually explicit photographs and videos of Ms. Grant, including pornographic content he recorded with other men both inside and outside the company. Damn! Okay, she just needs to admit what she is at this point. Including with members of the television production tech team. Vince, couldn't you just gave him a raise? The guys in the truck. The guys in the truck. Now here's where she's light snitching on other people. That he shared sexually explicit photographs and videos of her with other men inside the company, including with members of the television production tech team, executive producers, and a world-famous athlete and former UFC heavyweight champion with whom WWE was actively trying to sign a new contract and ultimately did sign that contract. These are her lawyers threatening people. These are her lawyers threatening people because that former UFC champion is Brock Lesnar. So they're throwing subs, man. By the way, we letting the world, without saying Brock's name because that could open them up to liability. She's throwing subs. They're like giving you everything you need to know that it's Brock Lesnar. That, by the way, you sent this stuff to Brock Lesnar. So this is supposed to put pressure on other people to sit up here and turn on Vince. This is the Cassie effect. Because, by the way, that means don't be surprised if they try to go after Brock at some point. Given McMahon's omnipotent position at WWE, coercion was inherent in his increasingly depraved sexual demands. Specifically, while McMahon was CEO of WWE and Ms. Grant was employed as an entry-level coordinator in the legal department, McMahon recruited individuals to have sexual relations with Ms. Grant and or with the two of them directed Ms. Grant to visit defendant Laurinaitis prior to the start of work days for sexual encounters, and expected and directed Ms. Grant to engage in sexual activity at the WWE headquarters even during working hours. Okay. These folks here, this next part here, gotta warn you in advance. This next part here is, I'm not going to use all the language, but you all can see it on your screen. McMahon's assurances that Ms. Grant was safe and independent rang hollow in light of his efforts to isolate her from friends and attempts to chip away at her identity until it was replaced with his desired role for her as his B, his fantasy, and or his porn star, while occasionally intermixing softer descriptors like girlfriend and baby, even love when convenient. He exercised complete ownership and control over both her personal and professional lives. McMahon also subjected Ms. Grant to acts of extreme cruelty and degradation that caused Ms. Grant to disassociate and or become numb to reality in order to survive the horrific encounters. As one example of McMahon's extreme depravity, on March 9th, 2020, and for those of you who know laws and lawsuits, there's a reason why the lawyers keep saying specific dates. Specific dates are usually tied to specific physical evidence or specific documentation to corroborate whatever the testimony is you're giving. That's how you throw threats at other people, other attorneys, when you start going into specifics like dates, times, places. You're letting them know that, by the way, we have documentation or corroboration. Now, I can tell you where your client was on this day and what they were doing. On May 9, 2020, he emptied himself on Miss Grant during a threesome and then commanded her to continue pleasuring his friend with bodily material in her hair and running down her back. They put this in bold letters in italics. While McMahon went to the bathroom to shower off. Upon his return from the bathroom, McMahon and his friend actively resumed the threesome, which lasted over an hour and a half. Freak off. While Miss Grant remained covered in McMahon's filth. When McMahon's friend left, McMahon ordered her to stay and to continue to sexually gratify him. An hour and a half later? There's a reason why I was showing these images up here before. I wasn't doing it to be salacious. Yeah, there's Dwayne and Vince with P. Diddy. This is not aging well at all. This image right here, and I got to be careful because we're on YouTube, but this was back from the so-called Attitude Era of the late 90s, early 2000s. It was the biggest time of money making probably for the WWE. In its history, they're probably the most relevant. So this back during the height of The Rock, Steve Austin, and a bunch of other people. But Vince McMahon started putting himself on television. For those of you who were too young to remember or weren't there, Vince McMahon put himself on television as one of the performers, and he started humiliating people with something that he called the Kiss My Ass contest. So basically, he was the CEO of the company, and his role was to get on TV, and he's abusing people. He's abusing his power. This was on national television. Now, this was on cable TV. This is on cable TV now. You had folks literally kissing his butt cheeks on cable TV. He was threatening them. He was threatening their jobs. He was threatening to fire them. Now, they say it was the performance, but my point is they were really wrapping their lips on his butt cheeks, though. I mean, take a look at this. You literally have to get down on your knees and kiss Vince McMahon's backside. I mean, this is kind of got pornographic dimensions to it. It really, really does. It really, really does. So what I'm telling you all is that if this is what he was willing to do live on the air month after month, the Kiss My Ass Club was not something that they did just one time. This was something he was doing for months and months and months. They bring up various people. There's a whole string of performers that he had come up there and do this. So he did this for month after month after month, where he played a character abusing his authority by degrading people sexually. Okay, so when this woman makes an accusation that, hey, by the way, that wasn't a character, this is what he really does. Yeah, it puts that in a whole new context, doesn't it? In June 2021, McMahon and defendant Laurinaitis sexually grabbed Miss Grant inside Laurinaitis' office in WWE headquarters while colleagues were busy at their desks. Behind the locked door, the two men cornered her and pulled her in between them, forcibly touched her before ultimately putting her on top of a table in between them. She begged them to stop, but they forced themselves on her, each taking turns restraining her for the other while saying no means yes and take it be. Unsurprisingly, others at WWE knew what was going on, but instead of intervening to protect Ms. Grant, WWE actively sought to conceal the wrongdoing. In January 2022, McMahon told Ms. Grant that his wife had found out about their relationship. Purportedly to avoid divorce, negative publicity, and other repercussions, McMahon said that Ms. Grant's time at WWE was at an end, but that he wanted her to sign an NDA to ensure her silence on, among other things, his personal misconduct. They met in March of 2019. Going on 3 years later, he told, allegedly, that Linda McMahon had found out. Now, that's kind of thrown into dispute as well, by the way, but now you see what happened. He said, hey, my wife is tripping, so yeah, we gotta cut things. My wife is, the woman I really love is having issues. Next thing you know, I need you to sign this NDA because my wife, the one I really love, is having issues. Now here comes the trouble. In the days ahead, McMahon put Ms. Grant under immense pressure to sign, saying that refusing would not only jeopardize McMahon, his family, and the company, but that she'd surely become a public headline, suffer reputational ruin, including from the pornographic content McMahon had captured, and face McMahon's legal resources. Conversely, McMahon reassured her that her signature would ensure his continued support and protection and safeguard her reputation. Ultimately, Ms. Grant succumbed to the pressure and signed the NDA in exchange for payments, which McMahon later stopped making. What? And this is the reason for this lawsuit. It's the same reason it always is. It's the same reason that Cassie filed suit. The same reason that Lizzo's backup dancers filed suit. The same reason that Tiger Woods' ex filed suit. The same reason that I've been giving you all for years over and over again, and you don't be silly about it. You understand what it is. It's the same reason. Men of means today, if you don't want to continue doing what you was doing, it's like, oh, don't worry, we got other ways of doing this. We got other ways of doing this. Oh, if you ain't gonna give it to me, I got other ways of getting it out of you. Now, by the way, for those of you who are wondering, allegedly he said he was going to pay her $3 million. Allegedly he gave her $1 million and then allegedly didn't give her anything after that. So he promised $3 million, he gave $1 million. she's back because she's like, yeah, hey, by the way, what about the rest of that drop? What about the rest of that drop you supposed to give? What about the rest of that drop? What about that? In the chat room, serial killer, what a name for you. We're going to have you call up here when we open up the telephone line so you can explain to everybody about what the problem is. You'll have a chance to call up. So mods, go ahead and keep track of them. They don't get to comment anymore, but when the phone lines are open, they're going to be required to call in. So make sure you keep their page up. So that way we'll make sure they can call in. They can ask their questions directly. Even after pushing Ms. Grant out of the company and muzzling her with an NDA, McMahon continued efforts to exploit her, including attempting to traffic her, really, dude, to a WWE star who would be in New York City for a live event and TV taping in March of 2020. Understandably, defendant's predatory conduct has left Ms. Grant crippled, both physically and mentally, including from debilitating symptoms of post-traumatic stress disorder and suicidal ideation. These symptoms led to her termination from her subsequent job running her building's operations due to her inability to leave her home for weeks at a time. I'm going to go out on a limb here. So she worked for Vince McMahon. He gave her $1 million. She's still living at that luxury building that they were in. Or if it was a different building, I think it was the same one. But if it wasn't, okay, I'm pretty sure it was similar. Are you sure it wasn't? And she was like, hey, I got $1 million. I know I need to work, but I'm not really motivated because I got $1 million. So why do I have to do that? Then the money runs out and it's like, hey, I need some more scratch. When you actually take a look at the actual events, I'm just saying, by the way, it lines up with that explanation too. I'm not saying that that is the explanation. I'm saying, by the way, it lines up with it now, doesn't it? But it does line up with it. Especially the fact that she stayed for years. You don't stay for years for something you hate. Now, she wasn't able to leave her home for weeks at a time, but when she was with Vince McMahon, she left the house every day. Come on now. She left the house every day when she was with Vince. As soon as she wasn't with Vince anymore, allegedly she doesn't want to leave anymore. So let me get this straight. While you were in the middle of these so-called degrading acts with Vince, you left the house every single day. You were at work, Johnny on the spot. As soon as you didn't have a job anymore, all of a sudden, oh, I'm so emotionally distressed, I can't leave the home. You could leave it when Vince called. You had no problem leaving it then. She had no problem leaving it then for 3 years. All right. Despite McMahon's promise of reputational protection, WWE appears to have leaked information that led to the public disclosure of her name by a media blogger who cited a source in WWE with direct knowledge of the situation, which, upon information and belief, was an overt intimidation tactic aimed at Ms. Grant. So you can see they're going into this part right here. They claim, now this is the part where this explains everything. We all thought that Vincent Kennedy McMahon would die sitting there at WWE. That you were just going to go in that office one day and you were just going to find him in a chair. That was it. Vince McMahon is going to die with this company. He will never sell it. He's done everything in this world to hold on to it. And then last year, seemingly out of nowhere, all of a sudden, Vince McMahon is willing to do what we thought was the impossible. He wanted to sell the company. He didn't want his kids to run it. He didn't want to give it to them to run it. He comes back and says, it's essential that we sell the company now. Remember? He said it's essential. He had left the company and then he put Stephanie in charge and then he came back and forced her out. And he said, it is essential that we sell the company now. That there are unique opportunities and I need to be here in charge to steward this thing. And then he did something we all never imagined. They merged it with the UFC, but essentially they gave up because now the UFC runs WWE. Vince McMahon is not chairman of anything Ari Emanuel is. And we all, at the time, it's just like, okay, I knew there were lawsuits and stuff. And I'm like, but why would he want to give the company up, even if he's always been willing to take a loss and even operate at a smaller form so that he can maintain control? Control has always been the most important thing to him. Selling the company like this is giving up control. Well, that's impossible. Vince McMahon is never going to do that. But now, reading what happened here, now we have a little more context about what happened. And this explains everything, why Stephanie was brought in, but he didn't leave her there. And he didn't bring his son in either. WWE has also attempted to sweep the matter under the rug, following media reports that McMahon was involved in a hush money payment scandal. WWE released a statement in June 2022 to announce that a special committee of its board of directors was investigating the alleged misconduct and appointing Stephanie McMahon as interim CEO and interim chairwoman. In this capacity, Ms. McMahon publicly affirmed her commitment to, quote, doing everything in her power to help the special committee complete its work and to implement its findings. She also declared the, quote, importance of a safe and collaborative workplace. Notwithstanding this public statement, the investigation was a sham. In November 2022, WWE touted the conclusion of the special committee investigation into the misconduct, yet the special committee never even bothered to interview Ms. Grant or request any documents, despite Ms. Grant stating that she would cooperate. In SEC filings, here we go, the company tried to divert attention away from McMahon's abuse of women by focusing on the technical issue of how hush money was accounted for. In the words of the company, the issue was, quote, immaterial accounting errors related to certain payments that Mr. McMahon agreed to make during the period from 2006 through 2022. Folks, that is a large, long period of history. 16 years, that's a long time. 2006, that's right after the Attitude Era. So there's a reason why these attorneys are going into this and saying that, by the way, we can walk backwards on him for a while. It wasn't really clear before why he would relinquish control of the company, something that none of us ever thought he would do. Now it's a lot more clear why he did it, because he's like, if we don't sell it, when these women get done, we may be sitting on a dead brand. They're going to yank us off TV, everything else. So if he was worried that that was what was about to occur, yeah, he's going to want to get the company in somebody else's hands so that at least the value of it will survive. It all makes sense now. Through all this trauma, Ms. Grant has endured profound suffering in silence. Well, clearly she is not in silence. That's for certain. She is not in silence. Now, they're naming directors, they're not naming them, but they're saying corporate officers, number 1, number 2, number 3, number 4. So they're saying a bunch of things. This is in U.S. court, so it's not going to be local. That was happening there. Here they go into more details here. There's a reason why I want to come down here. It says, on or about March 23rd, 2019, Ms. Grant arrived for a meeting in McMahon's condo with additional printed copies of her resume, a black notepad, and thank you cookies. Sitting at his dining table, McMahon looked at Ms. Grant's resume and complimented both her communication skills and, quote, common sense before discussing little but their personal lives. For example, Ms. Grant told, now listen what I'm about to read to you all next. Ms. Grant told McMahon about the hardship that led to resident manager's offer to help and described losing her parents, her family's bankruptcy, and other trauma that led her to seek financial independence. She got that, to ensure she would never experience losing her home again. Cassie effect. McMahon shared stories about his upbringing, his traumatic childhood, growing up in poverty, and current family dynamics, including his separation from Linda McMahon described as his ex, quote, his ex and long gone. He added his marital status is an arrangement on paper for business purposes, and that he lives a quiet, isolated existence outside of the WWE. This was the real reason that they wanted to do this. This was the real reason that they wanted, that she's claiming sex trafficking so that she can break the NDA, filing this lawsuit, breaking the NDA, so she can disclose all the dirty details, all the dirty laundry, in the hopes that this will punish McMahon and force him to start throwing more money to get her to be quiet a second time. What I'm saying is that it's the same thing that Cassie was trying to do to Diddy. Now, we all suspect, we got to be honest now, we suspect that Diddy loved them boys. Okay. But you've never been able to actually prove it. So, as long as you don't have incontrovertible evidence, there's plausible deniability, thus it's easy to ignore. But if someone actually did have provable evidence, if someone could actually prove it or force him to admit it, then that would be a different matter. What Cassie did was basically fire a shot across his bow that said, by the way, we'll take this to court. I'm going to put you on the stand and we will force you to admit what you're doing, even though that's actually not material to anything. We're going to force you to do that. So she put the gruesome details out there as a threat to him that, by the way, we put this in the lawsuit. Now I'll put you on the stand and I'll force you to admit to it. That's the Cassie effect. You will either commit to me, you will either do what I want, or I will try to take everything you got. I talked about firing tonight. Cassie tried to get P. Diddy fired from his own company, and now this chick is trying to get Vince McMahon fired from his. These women were going around with these fellas for years, not months, years. And they loved the good life. They were in penthouses. They were in condos. They were getting flued out, flued in. They were living an unparalleled lifestyle. And then these fellas one day said, yeah, we're done with that. And these chicks were like, oh, no, you ain't. Oh, no, you're not. Oh, no, you're not. No, you're not. That's the whole reason for it. That's the whole reason for it. Now it makes a little more sense, everything we've read. I'm going to stop here. About reading anything else. Because this was the part really, and I don't like adding to this kind of thing, but this was the part here that really mattered. That's the part there that really matters. Because this is the part she wanted to put out there. This is the part that she really wanted to put out there. She wanted to put the part out there that, by the way, I know he ain't even with his wife. Why? He said they're separated. He ain't even really with her. He's by himself. So this is what I'm saying right here. What I'm saying is that by her doing this, this is the same as this chick over here. Oh, Crazy Eyes. It's the same as her, which is, okay, even if I can't take anything from you, I'm going to try to damage you as much as I can. So I'm going to even if the dirty details don't actually remove you, I'm going to try my damnedest to dirty you up as much as I can. I'm going to try my best to dirty you up as much as I possibly can. After all, even if I'm lying, the courts are not going to do anything. Even if what I'm saying is not true, even if it's untrue, even if the courts are going to back me up. I mean, what are they going to, even if I go in there and lie, what are they going to do? I've already broken the NDA, so what are they going to do? See, here's the problem right now. I'm just saying, they want to talk about concealing the identities of females who are victims of sexual assault. I'm like, okay, well, fine, but we're not concealing this information to prevent people from having stuff get out there about them. This shouldn't be known. They're not doing that either. So now you've created a free fire zone for extortion. Okay, but it's really mostly going to be the men. Fellas, what I'm telling you here is that the females are like, look, we're not going to change anything. If we want something, well, damn it, look here. We gonna take us a man. We're going to take us one. And we're going to be bold about it here. We are going to take us a man. And if you don't give us what we want, we're going to go in on you, even if we go down in flames our damn selves. This is it. We're going for it. We're going for it. This is a dangerous environment to be in, is what I'm telling you. And I'm just bringing you the X's and O's. I'm just bringing you the X's and O's of it here to let you know that these are high profile cases, but these are not isolated. If you are, just understand this brother, he didn't think there was anything special about him. Not like that. He didn't think there was anything that tremendous going on for him. I'm sure he figured, hey, he ain't really had a problem getting positive attention from the females. It's like, okay, fine. This fella never thought that he was this important that these women would sit up here and cause a damn me international scandal. Do you realize how unhinged you have to be for that? But this is literally what we have going on. And in the end, you wind up having to pay. This is just how crazy it is. They wind up having to pay him, although it's the taxpayers having to pay, which is really an injustice, because now you got us subsidizing this female foolery. These chicks are lonely and desperate, and you got the taxpayers out here subsidizing it. Now, for the men, it's go straight to jail. But for the women, it's like, okay, well, if you lonely and you got 3 or 4 bastard kids and the men ain't feeling you, well, we'll just let you sit up here and wreak general havoc and mayhem. And then if it doesn't work out, well, don't worry. The taxpayers will give you a mulligan and you can just sit there in office, by the way. You can just sit there and continue to get paid. And if you can make it to the next election, oh well. I warned men earlier last year and before that we've entered the most dangerous era ever. There's never been a better time to be a single male who is available, got his finances in order, and is in a place where he got female options. There's never been a better time for options. I am also warning you, there's never been a more treacherous time either. Because the women are like, oh, these males are too free. They're too liberated. Surely we can use the law to trap them. If he doesn't want to be with me, surely there's a law that lets me shackle him, isn't there? Surely there's a law that will allow me to punish him if he doesn't want to be with me. Because I'm old, my eggs are cracking, and ain't nobody really trying to make no serious commitment. Any fellow who does is looking at me and other people. So I don't feel like I'm in control if he's looking at other people. So what am I going to do? And then you see how they respond in real life. You see how they act in real life. Here, smack your microphone. This is what we're up against now. Think about this now. If this is what they're doing in public, If this is what they are doing in public, can you imagine what they are doing in private? That's the thing I'm saying. This is how far these women are willing to go in public. This is what they're willing to do in front of the world. What in the hell is going on when ain't nobody around? And then the men are supposed to figure out how to navigate all this nonsense. We're supposed to sit up here and figure out, we're supposed to carry all the weight. They can be as unstable as they want to be. We're supposed to figure out how to carry all the weight. This is what's happening now. You will commit or be destroyed. You will commit or lose your job. You will commit or be fired. You will commit or lose your company. We gonna take us a man out here. Oh, we gonna take one. We are going to grab you, hold you down, and take what you got. This is where we're at now. We're not on our way. This is where we are now. However, you might disagree. Therefore, the telephone lines are now open, and the number is 646-787-1933. That's 646-787-1933, your personal access code to the program that all your favorite YouTubers love to hate watch. This is the one. I want to thank everyone who has contributed to support tonight's program on PayPal or Super Chat. Thank you very much for your support. We appreciate that. Here to Deep Pill Reacts. Thank you very much, Jason Bolivar, LaKenzie, Iron Waff, and everyone else here. Thank you very much for your support. Anyone who was instructed to call in, the phone lines are now open for you. So since you've had so much to say here before, now you have an opportunity to do that directly so everyone can hear you flesh your thoughts out. To my mods, go ahead and get their information and have them on the line. If they decline to do so, permanent vacation. But by the way, if your point is really so solid and if it's really so relevant, then you should have no problem articulating it to everyone else where they can go ahead and hear it. And if I'm off base about something, well, it's about damn time that somebody showed where I was off base about something. So let's go ahead and just get to that. Let's just go ahead and do that. By the way, we're going to go ahead and also put up the link for the Zoom. Remember, we do give priority to Zoom. The only thing that we ask is if you're going to be on Zoom, of course, just make sure that you do have your camera and your microphone on if you are going to be on Zoom. That is the only thing that we ask. Let's go ahead and get over here to the telephone lines. The number is 646-787-1933. That's 646-787-1933. Let me get caller from area code 614. You're on live with The Business. What's your name? Where you calling from?
Hey, this is Sean calling from Ohio.
Okay, Sean, from where at in Ohio?
Columbus.
All right, Sean from Columbus, what's on your mind?
Hey, I got a question for you. How do we put this back into the bottle? How do we do that as men, as a community? This behavior.
Welcome to the world. Welcome to the real world. Who says you can? Okay. Please remember, this isn't a fairy tale. You're not in the world by yourself. Decisions have consequences. Now, I'm not just talking about your decisions. Other people's decisions have consequences that will affect you and will affect me. So my first response to that would be, who says we can? Now, here's what I mean by that. What I mean by that is I don't know if we can reverse it. The environment has changed. I'm more of a believer in what an organism does when an environment is altered. So think about the environment that the dinosaurs lived in. High amounts of methane and other types of gases and things like that. And then the environment changed radically. Will the environment ever go back to what it was then? Not really. So you have a decision to make if you're able. You're either going to adapt to that environment or you're going to try to reverse the one that you're in. I think it's a lot harder to try to reverse an environment than to adapt to the one that you're in. So rather than trying to figure out how to get, because here's my thing is when you say put the genie back in the bottle, what exactly are you thinking when you say put it back in the bottle? What exactly does that mean to you?
So as men, like, I believe a lot of the behavior or a lot of what we see in our community is predicated on what we do as men, or how we move, or what we allow as men, what we accept as men. So that's kind of the angle. Do we change as men? Do we have to change as men if we want to see the women in our community change?
Oh, well, absolutely. You definitely do want to be that. You definitely do want to be that. As men, we have to make adjustments and we have to make changes because that's the environment that you're in now. Now you have to make changes, but that's to be expected. You're always going to be expected to do that. The environment is always changing. It's never stayed the same. For example, the things that made you the most valuable man 10,000 years ago are not the same things that made you the most valuable man 5,000 years ago. And those are not the same things that made you the most valuable man 200 years ago. And those are not the same things that made you the most valuable man 50 years ago. So if you take a look at just the difference between the last 1,000 years, 500 years, 200 years, 50 years, there's been a lot of changes. And as men, the only thing that we have to make as a constant is our ability to adapt to this changing environment. Now, right now, you have an environment that is saying we're going to subjugate the men. Now, that can't be allowed to happen. That can't be allowed to happen. Well, Jason, what do you see as the proper adaptation? Here's my issue with what I see here. The issue with what I see is that you have people attempting to use men's code of honor against us. You see, as men, we have a masculine code of honor for what it is we say, what we do, or who we are, how we've defined ourselves, at least up until recently. A lot of that's run concurrent with so-called chivalry. And what I'm saying is that the environment has altered radically. Now, it would be the height of foolishness for us to look at an environment that is radically different from what it was for our fathers and our grandfathers, but to keep attempting to respond to the environment as if we were our fathers and our grandfathers, when nobody else is playing by the rules of the mothers and grandmothers. So what I'm saying is that new environment, new rules. Because other people are looking to see if they can use your principles against you. And that's why I'm saying, okay, things have to alter. Am I tossing marriage out the window? Well, of course not. I would never toss marriage out the window per se. But what I am saying is that we need to adjust how we approach it in this hostile environment that seeks to use marriage as a mechanism to exploit men. Let's stop pretending that that's not what it is. Let's not mince any words. Let's call it exactly what it is. And then say, okay, here's how we're going to approach that. I'm not going to try to reverse it by getting you to stop exploiting us. What I'm saying is, okay, I'm about to become a much harder target to exploit. Much harder. Okay. So up to and including just saying, and, if marriage doesn't serve me, why would I enter into it? Why would I go to something that doesn't serve me? Now, of course, that should be a last resort. That should certainly be a last resort, but it should be on the table. It's like, I certainly hope that I don't have to push this button. I certainly hope I don't. But don't tell yourself that your desire to exploit me is going to prevent me from doing that. Don't tell yourself that backing me into a corner will keep me from doing that. Don't deceive yourself into thinking that will, because it'll happen, or it can. So, in the words of Yasser Arafat, I come to you with a soldier's gun in one hand and an olive branch in the other. Please do not let the olive branch fall from my hand. As men, we are a fantastic, incredible resource. We are the reason that there is a human race today. But in this industrialized society, we've had the luxury of creating contrived environments where people are giving in to their base natures and saying, well, if I want a man, I will just selfishly take him like a 3-year-old grabbing some blocks. And we're not Lego blocks, we're men. We're people. You don't own us. And just because you wish you had a highly valuable, competent protector and provider doesn't mean you deserve or qualify for one. Now, there's the brutal reality that females in this era of contrived luxury and convenience that we've made have to accept. Just because you are biologically wired and socially and physically in need of a competent, valuable protector and provider, that doesn't mean you actually qualify for one. Yeah, you might want it. You know what? You might actually need it. Not just want it, you need it. But if you don't qualify for it, you ain't gonna get it. Or at least you shouldn't get it. And that means there will be some suffering to go along with it, and that will be the story of your life. You know what? Some people's lives are comedies, some people's lives are triumphs, other people's lives are tragedies. But you probably played a major role in how you ended up here. So you actually got the outcome, if not the one you deserve, the one that you worked for. But this idea that you think men are supposed to be here to save me. No, men are supposed to be here to lead you, and leading you is what saves you. But if you have demonstrated that you are unworthy of a competent leader, well, you just get left by yourself. And you have to fend for yourself. And there may be the occasional man who comes and lays on top of you, but he's going to eventually leave you by yourself because you're unfit to be led. And you see, as men, people have tried to use our code of principles against us because as men, we are protectors. Well, okay, but do you protect a female from her own self-destructive, selfish, narcissistic behavior? Do you still protect? And what the females are saying, yes, you're supposed to protect me from my narcissistic, selfish behavior and let me exploit you. And your job is to protect me. So I exploit you and you protect me. Well, what you're saying is I protect your ability to exploit me. Yeah. No. I protect those who are worthy. I protect those who have earned it. And you earn it by demonstrating that you are my best option, that you are not a disciplinary problem, that you are worthy of protection and provision. You might want the fellow with the fresh cut and the nice glasses and the broad shoulders and the good suit and the good income and the status, and the females are swooning. He's not some little broke down, little worn out, little beta buck recessive individual here with a voice like Pee Wee Herman. Okay, yeah, you might want that dude, but you got to qualify for that. Just because you tell yourself you's a bad broad and that we need to overlook these 3 or 4 bastard kids and, take a look at my veneers, that doesn't mean you qualify for it. You're just going to be another lonely wench in Atlanta. That's who you're going to be. Because you waited till your damn 40s to decide you wanted to get serious. Only now what you've really shown is all the reasons why you're single this whole damn time. You're not fit. You're just 40 and bitter and looking for a victim. And I'm telling the fellas here, as men, the adaptation we need to make is to be harder targets so that there are fewer victims. It will never be perfect. There will always be situations where you can get caught up, but we need to start adapting and be harder targets. So what does that mean? Mm-hmm. That means that first and foremost, you reevaluate how you see yourself as a man. First and foremost, is your job here to save people? Well, I mean, that's a wonderful ideal, but then again, you need to look, that might be something you romanticized. I prefer to take a look at it as it's our job to lead, but job means that we have an ability. That doesn't mean we have an obligation. So as a man, we used to accept these things as an obligation. Well, you go on social media, the females still speak of this as an obligation for us. Wait a minute, did we choose that obligation, or are you trying to impose that on me? An obligation where I'm giving you rewards and I have no authority and no benefits. Well, now what all you did was trick bag me into being your servant. Because when you go on social media, you see females talking about relationships and talking about marriage, but they only talk about the benefits that they receive. You have never read a post where the woman's talking about the hard work she actually does. And if she does start talking about work, it ain't hard. It's certainly not equivalent to what he does. The women talk about the fantastic, tangible benefits and rewards that they receive. They do not talk about the fantastic, tangible benefits and rewards that she provides to the man. As men, we have to look at that honestly and say, yeah, this is how the women are moving today. We need to adapt. Because what I just described was not a partnership, that's a parasite. Men need to adapt because we cannot function properly if we're being exploited. So first thing is look at yourself and say, okay, what does it mean to be a man? Because I feel like a lot of folks are trying to maneuver me into being exploited. That's not very manly. So let me take a look at my concepts of being a man and see whether these are actually practical or whether this is some romanticized ideal that is, now here's the key word, brother, that is obsolete. We are going to have to take a look at what our concepts and ideals of being a, quote, man are, and then determine if what we personally tell ourselves is defining what manhood is, if it is obsolete. The environment has changed. We ain't using horses and buggies. Horses and buggies are obsolete. Oh, they still exist. They're just not functional. Smoke signals, carrier pigeons. Believe it or not, both of those still exist. They're just obsolete. I can go down the list, but you know what obsolete is. And as a man, you need to start asking yourself, my definition of a man, is this an obsolete definition? One that no longer applies in this world we're in. Notice that that's where I said to start was with yourself. The one thing you have control over and can change, which is what you referenced before. But furthermore, you take responsibility. You don't start with women, children, or society. You start with you. So first and foremost, let me look at myself and see if my concepts are obsolete. Now, once you got a grasp on that, when you've clearly defined what your roles and responsibilities are, now you take a look at the women. Well, how am I going to properly lead them? Oh, first and foremost, is it even possible to do so? Well, if it is possible to do so, I should do so, although I need to measure the extent to which I'm willing to risk myself. You see, the extent of which our fathers could risk themselves was pretty broad. But if you've maneuvered us into a situation where we're more at risk, well, the amount of risk I'm willing to absorb is significantly less than my father was willing to absorb. Certainly a lot less than my grandfather. So you will not be able to make the same obligations or requirements of me that you made of them because the risk factor has elevated outrageously. You've given yourself benefits with no work, but you're telling me that I need to take risks with no rewards. Well, no, that doesn't work for me. So we're going to start getting this benefit cost analysis back in line. That ratio is highly skewed. We need to get it back balanced. I will insist on it. As a matter of fact, ain't nothing going to get done until that gets balanced. Change your own tire. Find your own subway seat. Pick up your own groceries. Re-roof your own home if you can get up there and don't fall off of it. Because you see, that's what we have the power to do as men, is to say, well, I'm not going to enter into an exploitative situation that benefits everyone except me. Well, you men supposed to, and yes, and I have no problem doing that. And if I meet someone who is worthy of it, I will. But let's be very, very clear. We're reappraising you all of the rules. As a man, I'm under no obligation to do that for you. And this idea that you're going to shame us and say, well, these men sit around looking at these women get messed up. The women said they're on their own. So as men, we need to stop allowing ourselves to be shamed for making adjustments and adaptations. Hey, you broke the agreement. We're just responding. If you're not going to act like our grandmothers and great grandmothers, we're not going to treat you like our grandmothers and great grandmothers. I want what they got. Okay, well, you got to act like they acted. I ain't going to do that. Okay, well, you won't get it. Oh, no, I'm serious. You won't get it. Change your damn tire. Get off my phone. Click. You and them 3 bastard kids over there. There y'all are. You good for the layup. You got concubine status. That quadruple X-rated sex might come in handy on a spare weekend. But, yeah, you got to go. Or better yet, you know what? You stay here. I'll go. Yeah, you see, what I'm saying, brother, is that they will not take us seriously until they see men moving that way. And what I'm saying is that fellas trying to be soft-handed about it, it's not sending the message that they think they're sending. The subtle message isn't working. Furthermore, it won't work because the women have been conditioned to think they can bully you. They're like, hey, now, okay, fine, I won't ask you anymore. Nigga, I'll just take it. Okay, now they're in the thuggery. And if you're not willing to admit this is where we are some thug stuff now. If you're not willing to admit that every man's got a damn horror story of some female who tried to take a relationship from him. Now, we can't all be sitting here with the same damn story, some of us with multiple stories, and we're just crazy. I'm just saying that you need to adjust to the environment. So first of all, look at yourself. Second of all, you look at the females and say, okay, how far am I going to risk myself? And I'm going to stand by that. And then you clearly communicate it. No mincing words, no curving it, no nothing. And what I'm saying is that when enough men respond the same way, the message will get through. Now, you'll always have some betas and some hoe niggas who will sit up here and do dumb stuff. They always will. That's not what we need to worry about. Because you can't choose from the options that aren't available. You have to choose the ones that actually are. Now, let me give you the final ingredient that makes this thing work. Okay. Brother, you can't make demands and you can't change the landscape if you don't have leverage. In other words, if you're not one of the men that they desire, you ain't got no leverage. So before you that's why you start with yourself. Before you try to check them and, okay, can we adapt them? The environment changes with you yourself. It starts with you, changing you, cultivating you, modifying you, and making sure that you are in the best position. It's like, okay, you can't sit up here and say you're the prize. You got to live that. And when enough men that's the responsibility that every man has, no matter what, because that doesn't make you valuable to women. There's a bunch of mama's boys who always show up in the comment section with their panties on, talking about, I ain't doing nothing for no female. The nigga got 2 nickels in his pocket talking about he ain't doing for a female. He can't get a pack of bubble gum for himself. But the issue isn't that. The issue is you do this so that you are resourceful to other men. Your survival depends on your ability to cooperate with other men. If you're an unresourceful male, you're useless to us. If you're useless to us, you die. You certainly don't prosper. So you have to be useful to other men. So you cultivate these skill sets so that you can be useful to the group, which is where you have the most power. Men make money with other men. They spend money with women. Men make power with other men. They exert power with women. They spend it with women. Rarely does a man gain it with women. He's usually gaining it among other men, cooperating with other men, collaborating with other men. That's the nexus right there. We gain power and synergy among other men. We spend it with women. So what I'm saying is that a male who doesn't give himself leverage, who doesn't present the best version of himself, who doesn't come as ultimate me, the guy who doesn't do that, he's ultimately useless to the rest of us. No wonder he has no leverage. No wonder. So if you start with you, the environment begins to change. Now, this will take some time to do so, but I will tell you, you're going to see short-term and long-term results. The long-term result is that societal transformation you're referring to, that societal adaptation, because ultimately you don't change women, you change yourself, and then women are going to be forced to change how they respond to you because you're like, oh, I'm not playing by the same old rules anymore. No, we're not looking at that rule book anymore. Okay, but that only matters if it's coming from a competent, capable man. If you're a beta that they don't really want, They don't care what you want, and they don't care what you don't like. When you express what you don't like, this fella, let me tell you, the brother on your screen right here, that brother's got power. That adaptation you talking about, this here right here. He said the single mom and the old wore out county commissioner and whatnot, y'all mess with me, I'm going for the bag. He showed them, oh, watch me lawyer up. I'm a lawyer up and I'm going to win. He ain't playing by the same rules. Do you get that? He didn't just say, I love my job. Man, it messed up right here. See if I can go to work at the plant. He said, oh, no. Let me call Morris Bart. Let me see if I can call Morgan & Morgan and get that took care of. And he did. And what I'm telling you is that's the attitude to have. And you know what? Here's the best part, brother. I guarantee you, he's probably been suing them for a couple years now. Guess what? The single mammy sitting out there still looking stupid and silly. The commissioner sitting up here and done cost the county $1 million+ dollars. He probably laying up with something sweet and sexy right this minute. Something younger and nicer and smoother and not as old. Hopefully, if he's learned anything. He laying up with something right now. He probably laying up with 2 others right now as we speak. While they done dropped off the bag. His ex-girlfriend is sitting around looking stupid and exposed. And the damn county commissioner is sitting up here hoping she can make it to the next election. But right now, he's good. He is good. And I want you all to have, if you're going to make an adaptation, that needs to be the attitude. You can't fake this. You can't pretend it. You have to be this. This dude is that. I popped my collar to him. I tipped my brim. I got to. He came out ahead in the game. I can't be mad at that at all. And guess what? The females are still gonna now they know he got broke off. Oh, he's got more play in Atlanta than he ever has. You do realize that I don't know how much money he was making before. He's now in the 1%. He's now in the top 1/2 of 1%. They just put him in the top 1/2 of 1%. Dude, his options in Atlanta done went out this damn world. It's done went out this damn world. So don't break the rules. The rules will break you. It's time to make some adaptations. And when men across the board, because that's the change that is happening because it has to, it's going to be slow. It's not going to be instantaneous. You have a lot of hard heads out there. They've been miseducated. A lot of them are going to have to learn by the hard way. But no, brother, it's already happening. Remember, our desire to survive as men is the most powerful force we have. Sex is not the most powerful one of survival. Self-preservation is. There's a reason why we have 50% more muscle and 50% more bone density. Self-preservation has always been our strongest prerogative. And in a hostile environment, you will start to see nature do what it does, which is knock off the weak. Now, that kind of is uncomfortable to witness. Nature's going to knock off a bunch of the weak, and that will leave only the ones who are strong enough to adapt and make changes, and those who are left will teach their offspring to adapt to make changes. And next thing you know, you look up in 10, 20 years, and all of a sudden the weak have been completely neutralized, and the strong are making the rules, which is what I predict we're going to see within the next 20 years. You're seeing the beginnings of it now. That's why you got the women screaming and fighting and sitting up here. Take a look at how they wilding out of this dude right here. You never heard of him. He's not a celebrity. This guy's not a celebrity. And take a look at how they went crazy over him. And this is just one story among many. So don't lose hope in that, and don't be dissuaded about it. Thank you very much for giving us a call tonight. Let me see here. Did I have somebody? I thought I had somebody on Zoom. I guess I don't. All right, let me get caller from area code 404 from the belly of the beast. You're on live with the business. What's your name? Where you calling from?
Hi, this is the Facts of Life, a.k.a. the ex-church girl calling in from Atlanta.
All right, sister, ex-church girl, what's on your mind?
Hi, I just made a comment in the comment section about what are the women other options? Quan from Q-Tip, Quick Trip, but I was just being sarcastic because I followed you before I just changed my name, and people thought I was somebody new, I guess.
Well, I mean,
But
you
what
certainly
you're
know
saying
about
is
some of the
truth.
chicks there in Atlanta. Like I said, you've been living there for a minute.
Oh, yeah.
And you see what's happening there. It is not getting easier. It's getting, ma'am, the females are like, I don't give a damn if that's your man. I mean, the women are now, we're talking about women with credentials. We're talking about politicians, council members. It's an open, free fire zone. You got the women at the highest levels of power saying, I'm coming for your damn man. Yes, I know he got a wife. I know he got a girlfriend. I want him, and I'm going to get him.
Yeah, but remember, these were the same women a few years ago were like, oh, I don't need a man.
Well, I mean, certainly when they balled their
But
fists
now
up, I
they'll
guess
take
not.
anybody's man.
Oh, they're taking everybody. I mean, look, these are the ones that just made the news. This is happening everywhere. Atlanta's a worst case scenario,
Yeah.
but it's hardly isolated. Los Angeles, DC, New York City. If you're a fella in the right position, don't gotta be rich. Just a fella in the right position. All that damn jaw jacking and talking they do online, that goes out the damn window when they meet you in real life, and these are your options. They do not care. They don't care if you got a woman. I mean, if you can bag a district attorney or a county commissioner in Atlanta, you already got a chick, and that has done nothing to limit your ability to bag a county commissioner. You have a wife, and that's done nothing to inhibit your ability to lay up with the district attorney. Having a wife did nothing to limit his ability to lay up with the sitting district attorney. It did nothing to limit it. Now, if that's what's going on with them, what's happening with the I say regular, but what is happening with a man who's making $80,000, $90,000 a year, who's single? Forget making 150 or 200, just 80 or 90, because there's more of them relative to that. What's going on with them? And with the chick who's on her last damn leg and sitting up here holding out for whatever. What's going? I mean, what's going on with them? What's happening with them? What are they seeing on a daily basis? And I submit to you that it's a microcosm of this. It's only the fellows who are socially inept who are complaining about it. The ones who aren't, they've got some version of this going on. Let me just go ahead and say the dirty little secret about it. Yes, ladies, it is true. Let me go ahead and throw this back up on the screen for you all here. I am not mocking you. I'm just saying that we need to go ahead and be honest about exactly what it is you see here. When I was talking about this a few days ago, Atlanta, among most unfaithful cities, ladies, yes, it is true. You're all in rotation. If you have a man who is desired by other women, if you have a man who is eligible and he's desired, you gonna be in rotation. That's where you're gonna be. And maybe you can knock off the other competition. Maybe you can. Maybe if you hang in there, you can boot the other chicks out. I don't know. Maybe you'll be buying a bunch of damn Apple AirTags too. What? But ladies, it is what it is. This is the environment that the women created. Baby, the women created this environment. The women made this environment. If you all want to consolidate on the top 5% of men, okay, by definition, you will be in rotation. Because the men are spoiled for options. You can't have a fellow with 10 times more options than he actually needs and think you're going to be able to break him. It's like, please, you're doing him a favor by leaving. Bye. At least you don't have to argue anymore. It's too much like that. There's just too many. And your job, think about it, your job is to be out the competition and you can't use sex to do it. You have no sexual leverage. You got to throw that. So it's like, okay, it's everything else that's going to get it. Oh, your attitude sucks? He just doesn't have to pick up the phone. He just doesn't have to pick up the phone. Now here you are looking all bug-eyed, wild-eyed, and crazy, sitting up here trying to figure out who he's with. Y'all, take a look on your screen. This crazy Pink Panther chick, she literally hired a private investigator. Do you hear me? I didn't get to cover this at the beginning of the program. I should have caught that then. This woman hired a private investigator to find out who it was sending her those text messages. Now, if that doesn't tell you everything about her mental and emotional state that you need to know, because it would be different if she just found out what it was and they going back and forth flaming with each other, although she already knew who it was. She wanted somebody who could get her proof that this was the person she thought it was. And then you see what she did. First thing she did, okay, well, I'm going to blow you and him up. She wanted the information so that she could go after them. She wasn't trying to get it so she could know something she didn't already know. She wanted it because she was armoring up to go after them. So she paid a private investigator to get documentation that this was the woman here so she could go say, oh, my boyfriend is chief of staff for a county commissioner and them two laying up together and I don't like it. You bogus. You're a waste of the taxpayers' dollars. That's why the investigator was like, man, get this hell out of here. So, but literally, I want you to understand that she paid for a private investigator. Private investigators are not cheap, y'all. They're not cheap. They charge by the hour. And she did that so she could find out who it was who was texting her so she could link it to her boyfriend. And take a look. She was willing to spend money to do that. She didn't just sit up here and break up with dude. Wouldn't that have been the easiest thing to do? Just to tell him, you know what? If you want to lay up with the county commissioner, you and her, y'all have fun. I'm out. She didn't do that. She didn't do that. She said, oh, you think you gonna get a sneaky link? Okay, well, let me throw a hot link in there. And that's what happened. She's not a hero. She's a villain. There are no heroes in this story, but there's certainly two femme fatales. These are the villains. If this was a man who did this, the comment sections would be acidic. They'd be ripping him to shreds. If this was a man who paid a private attorney to figure out the girlfriend's dude she was talking to, they would call him crazy. Oh, you're psycho. That's why she wanted to leave you. Okay, this chick does it and the news channel don't say a damn thing. It's like, by the way, can we talk about the mental and emotional state of this bob haircut up here? Damn, can we talk about that? No? All right. Fine. But as the men, this is what you got to deal with here. So, like I say, just all things remaining equal, man, this is where we're at today. It is a vicious environment. They're making just no bones about it. If you're a fellow who is decent and desirable, once they're in, they're like, oh, I own you. You don't have any rights. I own you. Because there are just, do you realize how long and how hard she had to look to find him? It's like there's too few of y'all. Way too few. Way too few.
That's true. And it's going to get worse. I mean, and I'm glad that you're actually speaking about it. You spoke about this before several times. Men just need to listen, and women need to learn the game. Like, if you're in a relationship with a man making that kind of money, ladies, common sense will tell you this man is not alone. Come on now.
Well, I mean, but here's the thing. It's not about the money necessarily. I mean, I don't think he's a rich dude. He was working for the county commission. I mean, he was chief of staff for a county commissioner, so rich is not going to come in the equation. The real thing is he's financially competitive, but you can take a look at him and see he's physically competitive, socially competitive, financially competitive. I mean, hell, I mean, as far as what you're looking for is a regular average black female in Atlanta, I'm just saying, look here, he ain't doing the Pookie Ray Ray thing. He can wear a suit. Come on now. I mean, that's it. It's let the battle begin. Let the fight begin, and that's exactly what it is. So it's once a fellow like that come up in the gap and they find out, they don't even want to know. It used to be they wanted to know if you were married. Now they just want to know if you're heterosexual. I mean, this is how much it's changed. You want to talk about an environment that has adapted, like I said to the previous caller, this is the adaptation. Women used to want to know if you were married. Now they just want to know if you're heterosexual. And to be totally honest, they just want to make sure you're not even if you're not heterosexual, they want to make sure you're just not full-fledged gay. Okay, are you bisexual? Oh, okay. Well, maybe, okay, well, if you're bisexual, well, maybe I can catch you 6 months out of the year. I mean, this is where we're at right now. Oh, no, we're literally here. It sounds like what I'm saying is funny, but I'm really not being funny. I'm really serious. That it's like heterosexual is too, even that one's become, I'm not going to say too narrow because there's still a majority of them. What I'm saying is that when you want those other traits in combination. So if you have a physical requirement, a financial requirement, a social requirement, you have all of those together. If you have to be flexible on that sexual part, there's a number of females who will be. Now, maybe you won't, but there's a number who will. Just ask P. Diddy's Rolodex. By the way, if y'all don't think that's the way females get down today across the board, take a look at P. Diddy's Rolodex. Cassie can talk about all the men that P. Diddy laid up with. She was right there with him. She was right there with him. So you're going to try to make a scandal out of that when you was right there with him? And she probably doesn't want to talk about the women who were there because she don't want to talk about what she was doing. But by the way, before you sit up here and try to blow up somebody else's spot, by the way, baby, you was right there with him. So, no, there's far more females who are willing to share a man with another woman or another dude, as long as the other dude isn't too intrusive and the other female stays in her lane. That's actually, but we're already there. We are already there. Now, that one's not as accepted as some of the other, but what I'm saying is, there are enough females that's not a deal breaker for. The dudes don't really have to alter the way they move them very much. For the few who are, because that's far from majority, there's a few who are. For the truly desperate who are dredging the bottom of the barrel, that one's not a deal breaker either. If he's got everything else together, that's not a deal breaker. So the real thing is if he's got everything else together, baby, they ain't going to let you go. In Atlanta, in Dallas, in Miami, in D.C., it's a free-for-all. It is a knockdown, drag-out brawl. May the best woman or the worst woman win. Oh, you got a girlfriend? So. You got a wife? So. You got some kids? So. This is where we're at today. There's no reason for men to wear a ring. It's just a formality now. They don't care anyway. If she want, in this day and age, the women are like, if I want him, I want him. If I got to knock another chick off, she gone. He's your man if you can keep him. I'll let y'all the last word.
Well, ladies, we created this, but now we have to deal with it.
Thank you very much for giving us a call tonight. There's never been a better time to be a single man with options and resources. There's also never been a more treacherous time, fellas. Hey, heavy is the head that wears the crown. Responsibility. Heavy is the head that wears it, fellas. I mean, if we're going to have more leeway and if we're going to have more access, more options, you got to understand we become more valuable. When you become more valuable, people try to steal valuable things. Fellas, people try to steal valuable things. Call from area code 516. You're on live with The Business. What's your name? Where you calling from?
This is Adam from Queens, New York.
Okay, Adam from Queens. What's on your mind?
Man, it sounds pretty rough out here for men. Do you think that in this day and age that it's absolutely necessary that you get a prenuptial agreement before marriage?
Well, I mean, certainly for the majority of men, that probably doesn't apply necessarily. But I will say that if you're a fella making six figures or more, I definitely think you should. Certainly if you're making six figures or more, or if you intend to do so, because men are not stupid. Here's what women understand. Men already know if he's trying to climb higher than where he currently is in life or whether he's just trying to get comfortable and make out. So the real thing is, remember, there is no private agreement that trumps the law. And if you go through state-sponsored marriage, it's rigged and set up to give women something simply for being present, which is antiquated and obsolete. That's not the way that's supposed to work anymore. But it's set up to allegedly give them something because they're allegedly owed something simply for being present in class, even if she was cheating on you the whole time. She could be cheating on you the entire time, and you walk into court and they're like, well, that doesn't matter. You still need to take care of her. Okay, but she ain't been taking care of me, and plus she's not taking care of anything after this. Oh, well, we can obligate you. So what I'm saying is that that's the law. So you don't have there's no prenuptial agreement that will protect you from that. Prenuptial agreements protect men with excess resources. Now, that's what a prenuptial is supposed to be, is for that guy. The fellow who has an average house and an average car and a 401k, I mean, a prenup doesn't do anything for you. There's nothing, because you don't have anything extra to protect. So for the average guy, for 80% of the population, I mean, you can get one, but there isn't anything that you're trying to protect that the law will let you. But for fellas who are, if you have, disposable income and extra resources beyond the average, then yeah, a prenuptial agreement to protect those things, yeah, that's necessary. If you're a kind of guy that, by the way, we've seen socially that women have a proclivity of gravitating to men like you in order to get those excess resources. Oh, you might want a prenup to make sure that that's not the reason she's here.
Okay. You go to court, I'm going to court, and you see guys in there, they weren't making six figures, but they were still going through it. These guys probably making about 60,000, 50,000. They still go through it.
Right. I'm just saying, though, that if you're making that kind of money, but what did you do with it? If you bought a house, that's not something a prenuptial can protect. The law has, if you're in a community property state, she got a right to it. A prenup can't protect that. Do you see what my point is? He's making too little money for the prenup to actually give him anything. A prenup has to be protecting something. So, the idea that, I want to protect the assets that I had when I came into the marriage, depending on what state you're in. Now, if you're not in a community property state, then you may be able to protect that. But if you are, it depends on where you are. I'm sorry, if you're in a community property state. If you're in a community property state, you might be able to protect that. If they acknowledge that, okay, if you bought the house after you two got married, but then again, like I say, there's circumstances in which the judge can be like, yeah, screw that. So that could happen too. But technically speaking, you might be able to protect that. You might. But you're not going to get out of alimony unless she's working and makes as much money as you do. So what I'm saying is that, depending on the guy's circumstances, if she was working, alimony may not apply. If y'all had kids, child support will apply. Because she's going to do something you're not willing to do. She's going to go sit down. She's going to tell the court, yeah, I don't want to work right now. So there you go with child support. So what I'm saying is a prenup's not, for the things that would affect a guy making $60,000 a year, a prenup's not really gonna, what is a prenup gonna do for him? The law is the law. So if he's in a state where his house is treated as community property, no matter when he bought it, that'd be an issue. Usually that might not be a problem, but the other things probably will. A prenup doesn't interrupt alimony. A prenup does not stop child support. And those would be the big ones that you'd be concerned about. Because you can go get another house. You can buy another house. The real thing is, does this person get to garnish your damn wages while you're trying to do that? So for a guy making $60,000 a year, how does he prevent that with a prenup?
Tough. Well, thank you for your time, Brother Jason. B1, as always, appreciate the education, man.
Thank you very much for giving us a call here tonight. And like I said, I'm probably going to have an attorney come on eventually and explain those kind of things about prenups and trusts and things like that so that you understand what they do and what they don't do. So we can have an idea about that. But I also want fellas to be very, very clear about something else here. We don't want to be in a situation where you're depending on prenuptials you want to be dependent on proper judgment. Men want to be dependent on proper judgment. And what I'm saying is that marriage gives a woman leverage over you. That's why every woman wants it, because marriage gives them control, because now they got the state to tell them, okay, the state's going to back us up on controlling you. Well, as long as she can't get you to marry her, she going to have to find something else, because she's not going to get the state to do that. And that's why you got crazy chicks sitting up here trying to ruin fellas' jobs. It's like, okay, well, let me see if I can get the state to help me over here. Let me see if I can get them to help me over here. And that's the issue I want you to understand, is that beyond a prenup, I want you to have proper planning. The brother didn't do nothing wrong. He had the chick over here and whatnot. Baby, you are not wife material. You're not wife material. He was coming through for the layup, and that was it. Let me send you back home so you can go take care of little Larry and little Pookie and Mike and little Slug. Let me let you go back and go do that. He was doing the game exactly the way it was supposed to be. And if he weren't working under a county commissioner, what would she have been able to do if he hadn't been working for a county commissioner? Folks, if he wasn't working for a county commissioner, what was she going to do? What was she going to go after? How was she going to go after? If this fella here worked at General Motors, if he worked at GM, what was she going to do? If he worked at Microsoft, what was she going to do? Well, she probably would have told them he beat me or something else. She probably would have tried that one. Seeing how crazy. This is what they do now. It's like, okay, if I don't have anything else, let me go see if I can. I'll accuse him of a crime. Because that's where she was going with this, is, okay, I'll say that he beat me or something else. Because she's like, I'm going on 45 years old and I've been put on the roadside for pickup. So if he wasn't working on that county commissioner, she really didn't have any leverage to do anything. She really didn't. That's what made her so damn crazy and so unhinged. When women don't have leverage, ladies, I got to read the mail right quick. If they don't have leverage, things go crazy. So he was doing what he was supposed to be doing. You got a single mom. It's like, okay, you good for the layup. You got an aged out county commissioner, but she's got seasoning experience and she's a little sassy. Okay, fine. He ain't got to commit to that. But both of them were like, okay, you gonna commit to somebody. He's like, wait a minute, I don't have to commit to anybody. Oh, yes, you is. And we're willing to risk our jobs and our freedom and our positions in order to do that. Fellas, that's how valuable you are today when you are a man with resources and options. That's how valuable you are. These women are willing to go to jail. They are willing to be arrested. They are willing to break laws. They are willing to give up their careers, willing to give up their political ambitions, willing to give up their kids. I'm trying to let you know how valuable what you bring to the table is if you actually bring it. If you actually bring it and actually got it, that's how valuable that is. She's like, I don't give a damn about a county commission seat. I want him. I don't give a damn about this phony ass veneer smile I done posted on Instagram with these fake ass plants back here. She said, I'm hiring a private investigator to find out how this nigga moving. I'm hiring a PI to see how he moving. City boys up right quick. Let me get the hand up emoji from the men in the chat room if you've had a chick driving around town looking for your car. What? Oh, I mean that. Give me the hand up emojis, fellas, if you've had a chick who was driving around town. You weren't answering the phone. She was driving around town trying to find your car. Oh, I've been there. I've been there 3 or 4 times now. 3 or 4 times. Jason, I got no reason to lie to you. I have no reason to lie to you or to paint some phony picture of myself. None whatsoever. I've been there like 3 or 4 times now. Twice they were vehicles that I paid for, by the way. Twice they were driving around in vehicles that I paid for. Cars that I paid for. They burned up the damn gas looking for me. Never found me, but I'm just saying, running around looking for me. Now, do you imagine that for a moment? Not only are they driving around in cars that you paid for. It's like, are you kidding me? I'm like, you could have called a text. You weren't responding quickly enough. Are you serious? I mean, they were bold about it. I was going everywhere looking. I'm like, oh, hell. Sirius said, good luck driving around Houston. Brother, let me tell you, the world becomes a small place when people are looking for you. Let me tell y'all, like, I've been to Los Angeles several times. I've told y'all this before. Los Angeles is a gigantic piece of geography, but that son of a gun gets real small when folks trying to get at you. If folks are after you, folks trying to get to you, even Los Angeles, as big and sprawling as it is, LA becomes a very small place when folks want to find you. It's like, oh, finding you ain't that hard. You'll be amazed how small a place becomes when folks want to get at you. So it's like she willing to drive up a tank or two of gas. So it's just like they won't find you if they just don't know where you're at. If they just have no idea where you at, then the place becomes unmanageable. Now, if you're in Houston and he's not in one of his usual haunts or within a certain radius of the usual haunts, oh, well, you might as well be looking for a needle in a stack of needles. If he's in Chicago and you don't really have a clear idea where he's at, South Side, West Side, Halsteads, if you're not really clear about where he is, it's just a big place for you to drive around. You're just in a big place to burn up gas. But if they can narrow it down some, if they got any way to narrow that down, oh, it becomes easier to find you. Now, this is why as men, you can't let your moves be transparent like that. I've always told you, don't let a woman know how much you make and don't let her know where you sleep at. She just driving around looking. She's driving around looking. I've had that happen a few times. I'm like, ain't y'all gonna give up? You never find me. Aren't you gonna give this up? No, they're not gonna give it up. You know why? Because they're treasure hunting for something valuable. And by the way, I'm talking about they were doing it in the middle of the night. What? Yes, they were doing it in the middle of the night. They were up in the wee hours of the morning. I'm talking about 1 a.m., 2 a.m. I'm having no idea this is even happening. Because they're like, they're trying to catch me or whatever. I'm like, by the way, I wasn't even doing anything. There's the crazy part about it, is I wasn't even doing nothing. I wasn't even doing nothing, but they were just like, they wanted to try to, quote, catch me red-handed. Never did, but. Just saying. But fellas, when you're valuable, man, crazy stuff is going to happen. It has to. Nobody flips out over something generic. Nobody flips out over something basic. A woman doesn't risk her freedom and her name. She doesn't risk that for something basic. She risks that because I'll be damned, I got something valuable here. And I want the men to recognize what that is. Let me get called from area code 252. You're on live with The Business. What's your name? Where you calling from?
Hello?
Yes, you're on live. What's your name?
Oh, my name is Quentin. Quentin, I'm calling from Eastern North Carolina.
Okay, Quentin, from where in North Carolina?
The eastern part near the Greenville,
Okay.
North Carolina
Let me
area.
try this one last time here. Quentin, where are you calling from in North Carolina?
Greenville, North Carolina.
Hi, Quentin in Greenville. What's on your mind?
I was just thinking about what you were saying. I had that stuff happen to me a few years ago. Lady was falling down behind me in my hometown. Every time I would see her, she would, try to follow down behind me, and then told a couple of friends of mine that turned around and told a couple of friends of mine that I was stalking her and all this kind of stuff, and I barely even knew her.
Yeah. I mean, if they're desperate enough and you are available, let me go see if I can trap him. Let me go see if I can do that.
Yeah,
what that really tells you is how bad her experiences were before that. She just wasn't getting nothing done. When a female gets more desperate because ain't nothing working, that's when they switch to drastic measures. Nothing is working. They ain't catching anything. That's it. It's like, look at the first nigga trip by my front door, I'm grabbing him. Just me. I'm putting him in a headlock. And you were the first one.
Well, most of the time when someone does that, most of the time, I don't know whether I was the first one, but most of the time people do things in patterns, and I'm almost sure that has happened before, but I just don't know anything about it and don't want to know anything about it. But
not a good idea.
I mean, it's a kind of
men need to be very, very careful about that. I'm a big stickler in knowing where a woman's come from. It's like, I don't want people around me that I don't know anything about. So I'm a big stickler on know as much as you can about as many people as you can. I'm a big stickler on that, especially if they have physical access to you. Know as much as you can. I'm a big believer in that. Know as much as you can. Don't be shy. Don't be bashful. Ask some interesting questions. Ask some awkward questions. Know as much as you can, because then you very quickly figure out, it's like, oh, you one of them.
Yeah, and I'm kind of a private person, so I mean, it's kind of unnerving. You just have to be prepared for whatever may transpire.
Well, in this day and age, it's a whole lot more brazen. Men didn't used to have to worry about this. Like, what I'm saying is that it used to just be one chick way out there. Today, the female culture says, oh, we're empowered to do whatever we do is right. Whatever we do is okay. And if we do get called on it, well, I'm female and, we're just emotional. I mean, that's literally what they're saying. Everything gets excused if I just say, well, I'm female, so I'm emotional. So that's it. Female card. And there you go. So I'm saying, as men, when you understand that that's outrageously silly, but that's literally what you'll hear, alter the way you're moving and alter the way you're thinking as well, because most fellas out here have more value than they think they do. What they're really looking for is an idiot who doesn't know what his value is. The fella who knows his value is and really stands on it, oh, that's the real diamond. That guy is the real diamond right there. The beta is the one who doesn't really know what it is and doesn't really know how he got it. Thank you very much for giving us a call tonight. Let me get caller from area code 347. You're on live with The Business. What's your name? Where you calling from?
How's it going, Brother Jason? This is Lex from Brooklyn. I'm not going to be on too long, but I just wanted to chime in on the conversation. That's so funny, today's topic. So a couple of days ago, I actually I had two interactions with two young sisters, and the question of whether or not I was dating came up. So when I had mentioned that, yes, I'm dating, the follow-up question is, oh, are you seriously dating? Is it serious? Or, are you just regular dating? Like, what's going on where I can come in? So I just wanted to chime in and just said, and just, attest that what you're saying is very true. It's very interesting to see how the environment is.
I want people now, let's say, now you're in New York City. So in New York, you don't see yourselves maybe the way that outsiders do. But for those of you, if you don't go to the city very often, it's hell getting up. Oh, New York is hell to deal with now. It's $20 coming in like through the Lincoln Tunnel and stuff. And they're sending us license plate things now. It's New York City is hell to deal with. I never liked going up there. I really don't like it now. So I'm now making an effort to avoid it, because it's just, now they got those lights in the financial district. I'm like, I'll be damned. Now you're going to send me like a $30 bill for that? Because I don't even live here. But so what people don't understand now, it's a Friday night. So you'll know this because you live there, and the folks who live in New York will know this too. So on a Friday night, if you're down there by the Empire State Building, or if you're down there on 34th Street in front of Macy's, you know, it's an open air. You see single people walking all the time through there, especially on a Friday night. You'll see that all the time, period. So in front of the Empire State Building, heading up to the Brooklyn. Now you're going back toward daylight hours, heading toward the Brooklyn Bridge, going across the Brooklyn Bridge all the time, or going up and down Hudson Parkway all the time. You'll see that all the time. Central Park is less because getting there is a hassle. Anybody who lives in New York, that's actually a hassle to get to. But think about that. On a Friday night, that is nothing to see that all the time. That's nothing to see that. Nothing at all to see that. And what I'm saying is, yeah, they don't like it. They don't like it. They trying to get booed up. They trying to get somebody with them. Life is hard in the city like that. It's hard in the city. So they're trying to fix and remedy that situation. Because every once in a while you see some chick walking by with her dude or whatever, and she's like, hey, let me get that. I want to get some of that action.
Yeah, and another thing, so the follow-up question was, when I said, it's going serious or whatever the case may be, and I asked her, or in one case I asked the young lady, are you dating? She's like, yeah, you don't see a ring on my finger, so it's all good, whatever happens between you and me just happens between you and me. I was just taken aback. I was like, oh, shit, like, part of my friends, right? That really caught me off guard. I thought, me being honest might just, cancel it for me, but no, it actually, being honest and being upfront actually helped in that regard, if I wanted to take it that route. But
like I say, look, the bottom line is for the fellas today, especially you young cats, I want you to focus on what you're supposed to be doing, because the women are sure focusing on themselves, even if they have to harm you. What I'm telling you is that I want you to focus on what you're doing. And really, to be totally honest with you, you're going to have to be highly selective. What that also means is you're going to have to be non-exclusive. It does you no good whatsoever to pigeonhole yourself or attach yourself to one thing. Furthermore, there's no incentive to do so, but there's no strategy or benefit to doing it. And what you're expressing is that, by the way, the lane is already wide open. You're not the one who made the female say, well, I don't care if you got a chick. They came to you like that. So that tells you the previous experience has already made that. So if she's talking to you like that, then that's what being in a relationship with her is going to be like. That's what it's going to be. If you do get with her, she's letting you know, by the way, yeah, I ain't done looking. Or I'm here to get whatever I can get, however I can get it. And what I'm saying is you don't get yourself deeply entangled with I'm here to take whatever I can take, however I can take it. You don't get entangled with that. You can have fun with that and go send that home, but you don't get entangled. And this is the way fellas need to be moving. So if you do meet something that makes some sense later on, when you've had a bunch of life experiences and you got some resources, if you want to make a switch up, then you'll be in a position to do so, and you're not going to be anybody's fool when you do. You had enough experiences with enough females that you recognize real when you see it, and you recognize bogus and phony when you see it too. When you get there, that's the sweet spot, and that's how you keep silly things from happening. But yeah, y'all, if you're a fella up there in New York today and you got yourself together, you're spoiled for options. You really are. And I'm not going to sit here and mislead you and tell you to limit your options. There's no reason to do that.
Yeah, I really appreciate the way you broke it down that way. I didn't see it. I didn't see it that way. But again, B1S, thank you for everything, Brother Jason.
Thank you very much for getting this call tonight. Let me get call from area code 415. You're on live with the business. What's your name? Where you calling from?
It's Don P. calling from San Francisco.
Don from San Francisco. What's on your mind?
The problem that we're having is we're trying to mesh our innate instincts against a culture that's anti that. By nature, we are polygynous. We are creatures of variety.
Okay, I'll give you that one. I'll give you that one. I'll give you that one.
This is why men, quote unquote, under the Roman system, quote unquote, cheat. But if a man's doing it right, and I understand what you're saying, and actually I have living examples for me. If a man is doing it right and he's playing his position, guess what he ain't gonna have? Problem with women.
Well, here's the issue. The issue is that if men want to move that way, women don't give you a problem about it when it's imperceptible. I used to, back when I used to work in corporate America, they used to say something about some of the folks who would slack off. I had a manager who would talk about that. Some of the folks who were slacking off, and he would just tell you that if I can see you doing it, you're being too blatant. Now that's what he would tell us, is that if I can, now I was never that person, but there were plenty of others who were. And it was just like, if I can see you doing it, you're being too blatant. So there's where the real issue comes in. Kevin Hart with his wife. The problem wasn't that he was dealing with other females. The problem was, nigga, they video recording you. You got the light on in the car at night and there's somebody outside video recording you. You too damn blatant. You're supposed to be Kevin Hart, man. You're supposed to be Kevin Hart, and you showing up on damn TMZ where just any Jamuchi walking by can record you? Dude, what is this? She's like, I thought you were more competent than this. And that was what he said. That's what got his attention. It's like when she explained it like that, it's like, she's right. Man, you moving. Yeah. You're moving like some dude, on Maury Povich. And you're Kevin Hart, but you moving like that. That's what makes the light go off. Okay, the problem, she's not happy that you had another chick there, but it's like, by the way, and you're this blatant with it? It's like, it'd be one thing if folks had to jump through hoops and hurdles and hire investigators and all this. Oh, it's like, oh, you solid. Man, you're sloppy and reckless. So how do I trust and put my female future in the hands of a man who just exposed that he's sloppy and reckless? Because a woman can appreciate when you got other women under leadership. She can appreciate that. What she doesn't appreciate is when you ain't got control of it. That's the real problem.
That's right. And you know why? You know how you have control? It's what you've always been saying. Listen, you have to be at the top of your game. Don't play in an arena that you can't afford to bring the team into. So the men that I see handling this business, they're at the top of their game. They're just a little under $250,000. The thing is, she's satisfied. Just don't put it in her face until she's ready. And, you actually have to have leverage before you can even introduce that whole thing. You have to be totally leveraged. And that could be situational, whatnot. Because these Western women, the problem is, and the women that you had in your broadcast, that you were featuring in your broadcast, in your story, all of them got elevated in this system that minimizes the black man since he arrived here with shackles on him and chains on him. That system has permeated throughout. I mean, we can just look at this joke of administration and this joke of administration, and what did this person do? All he did was put up a bunch of a bunch of females, and then he put up that one bootleg, Lloyd Austin. I got problems with that, but that's a whole different broadcast. But he put all these females up, and then the party says, the black woman is the backbone of the Democratic Party. It's always this mammy elevation from the plantation to now. And so the problem is this, especially after the 70s. You think you're equal to men, and you're not. You're not.
I understand what you're saying there. I understand what you're saying. I think that's a big misnomer. Not because in the way you all are taking it. I don't think that that's the misnomer. I don't think that women think that they are equal to men. I think that women believe what they do know is that they've been given leverage. And they understand that the way in which you get leverage is demand that word. Keep saying that word, equality. But they don't actually want equality. And they don't want it because you know, Don, if you give it to them, the first thing they do is hand it back to you. Because with equality comes responsibility. So that's what I'm saying. I understand why guys say it, and they'll continue saying it. It's not going to stop here tonight. But what I'm saying, though, is that that's not, in my opinion, that's not really what it is. What it is that they understand that saying the word, what they want is leverage, not equality. They don't think they're equal to men, nor do they desire to be equal to men, but they want leverage because leverage is what allows you to take resources from a man even if he doesn't want to give them. So appealing to a man is how you get a man to give resources willingly. Leverage is how you take resources unwillingly. And this is
you made a great point. You made a great point. Case in point. World War II. What did they do then? And then after all that necessity was subsided, they toned it down and you got June Cleaver. But they needed to dial it back up. These folks now that are really running things right now, they needed to dial it back up. They needed the women to be into the I am equivalent to a man, i.e., wow, so that they could get the tax base.
Right. I mean, what happened after World War II is they got incorporated into the capitalist system. Up until World War II, as a social norm, not as a law, there were no laws, but as a social norm, women were, we had the expectation that women should not be obligated to join the workforce, i.e. capitalist system, that they don't have to be producers. So that was the cultural norm up until then. World War II happens, and now they've been integrated into that system because it needed more manpower. And as capitalism does, well, now that you're in, well, we don't really want to let you go. So you're in now. Yeah, I know you want to go back home, but we're making profits off of you. So we've decided you need to stick around. As a matter of fact, we're going to start passing all kinds of laws that will, quote unquote, make it easier for you, but in reality will obligate you to stay. And now here you are. So as a result, they're going to grade school, coming out, and then straight going to college. They're preparing for a World War II economy that no longer exists, but has transitioned into an industrial and information and technological economy. So the mechanisms that put you into helping with World War II are now still in place, only now we've shifted and sent your manpower and your resourcefulness somewhere else and your productivity somewhere else. So you're now expected to walk the same career path you had before. The career path was to take care of the children. Now your career path is to come to work for the corporations or whoever. Now you're going to work for the county or the government. So you're in a situation where you're having to, quote, fend for yourself. And once you're telling yourself, I'm going to fend for myself for a little bit, and then I'm going to transition to being a housewife. No, you're not. You're going to fend for yourself, and then you're going to get stuck there, which is what more than half of them are doing right now. They're stuck once they get off into it. So it's like getting on a drug. You figure, well, I just take a few puffs and get off. But no, you here now. When you do this, you're here with us, and there you go. So you make a very good point in that regard. I'll let you have the last word.
You've been so gracious. Yeah, thank you, sir. You've been so gracious, and I wanted to say, hey, this dialogue has been really, really good with you, and I appreciate you. Like I said, you've been so gracious, but yeah, that's where we are now. Women realize, I don't want this weight. Nigga, you take it. And so that's where we are now. Now, the ones who were able to benefit from that with a woman that has the right mindset, and I'm talking from a global perspective, then they will reap the benefits because they will come in line and they will understand, listen, I don't have to do this heavy lifting.
Well,
all I need to do is make some adjustments.
That's deceptive too, though, Don. And here's the reason why. Because you bring up a good point here, but it's deceptive. Because what we've failed to acknowledge as a society, and I'm breaking ground here tonight, folks, what makes women feel like women has changed. What makes women feel truly feminine has changed. And that change has tracked along luxury and ultra luxury and upper class lines. Pursuing that, pursuing the life that they perceive of those women in that position, that's what makes females today as a group feel like, quote, women. When you listen to what it is they're complaining about and what they want to articulate, they're like, oh, you're describing an upper class life. In other words, a woman of a life of leisure, not a homemaker, a life of leisure. So when they talk about what they really want to do, kids don't actually get mentioned. Oh, they'll mention that in passing, but if she's already had kids, that never comes up ever again. She doesn't say, I want to get with another man and start a family. She's like, I want to get with another man and he needs to have X, Y, Z so that I need to make good on that life of leisure I've been trying to get and never had the chance to. So there's the missing link. So I'm saying is that the reason why why men in general, I say we, but men in general cannot satisfy women in the society today is because the women of today have changed. What makes them feel womanly is on another level from anything that you've seen previously. If talking to your mother and grandmother or great grandmother, you screwed up. Those women have no frame of reference. None. Your grandmama didn't have Chanel. She didn't. Your grandmama didn't have Gucci. Your grandmama didn't know what a red bottoms was. Your grandfather didn't know what a Bentley was. Now, he knew what a Rolls Royce was, and he never even imagined he would own one. Never imagined it. You and me from the old school. All the old black folks at Chobot Church, you know what it was. They wanted that Fleetwood Brown. Here they come rolling up in there, and that was it. And when Cadillac started making the cars smaller, that was it. They never even wanted to Escalade. That was all they wanted. Now, eventually it started shifting over to Mercedes, but even then, to be totally honest, they wasn't trying to roll no S-Class. They would just get an E-Class, and that would pretty much be it. That is not where the females of today are. They, for themselves, they'll go get a Mercedes CLA. But for you to be her man, she's letting you know, either directly or indirectly, verbally or non-verbally, she don't feel like a woman until you give her that life. I don't feel like one. I feel pressed. I feel stressed. I feel hardened. I feel like I have to go to the... She's letting you know, yeah, if I don't have that upper class life, so this is why pleasing them has become a moving target / impossible. Thank you very much for giving us a call tonight. In my opinion, it's become hard to do that. So on top of that, the reason why I was bringing that up is because on top of that, it's like, okay, I need to live that life. And by the way, I want a man who is impressive on the level that I feel that I am. Take a look at this face. Take a look at the raw arrogance and conceit and narcissism that you can see written on her face. Then you take a look at the damn county commissioner. Take a look at these two women. She's in the middle of a commission meeting, sitting here bamming away on her, is it an iPhone? Yeah, bamming away on her damn iPhone. And then this other chick here, I mean, they two peas in a pod. No wonder they going at each other like that. Okay, well, what do you think these two strong presenting women expect in a man? Oh, he's got to be an alpha. Come on, let's just say Liz. Now, like I said, that pen, it looks like a military pen. I mean, it looks like I don't know if it's the Marine one. Some folks are saying they think it's the Navy one. I'm not sure about that pen, but that pen says something to me. If I could get a better look at it or whatever, I'm not well versed enough on to be able to tell. So I don't know if he is former military. I wouldn't be surprised. But I mean, what I'm just saying is just take a look at the way he presents. This picture right here, there's a reason why I was showing you all this footage right here. Take a look at how he presents. Do you see how he's head and shoulders above these other folk? Head and shoulders, that matters to females. That is a big thing to women. That's not minor. That is not minor. So to a female who wants to feel like she got it all together, you see this dude coming up and walking here. He's broad-shouldered. The suit's fitting right there. He's not looking all, sloppy. That's what this chick right here is sitting up here telling herself, yes, that's the man I need to be. Oh, this is a step down. Oh, what is that? Is that Gucci? Is that a Gucci bag right there? Tell me I ain't messed up my bags. It looks like the Gucci. Not Gucci. Yeah, Gucci. I want to say this. I better not be wrong about that. If I'm messing up about Gucci, y'all will never let me live it down. This the red and the green. I know it's not Louis Vuitton. You all correct me if I'm wrong about that. I want to say Gucci is the one that has the red and the green. Okay. Just wanted to make sure. But see, there's so many of them now. All right, with the red and the green on it. So ain't that something right there? So she's sitting there walking with a granny sitting up here and whatnot. Oh, this has got to hurt her soul. This has to hurt her soul, doesn't it? Oh, this has to hurt her soul. Oh, this was no good. So let me get this straight. She went from walking with this dude here to walking to this woman over here. Oh, how the mighty have fallen and the great women of war laid low. Oh, this has got to hurt her soul. Yeah, you better believe she was telling herself, I need to be with dude right here. This is where I'm supposed to be. And guess what? This little narcissistic chipmunk here, she's doing the same thing. Yeah, I'm supposed to be with him too. So what I'm saying is that their idea of what makes them feel feminine, there's a whole lot to that. Let me tell y'all, fellas, most of you grossly underestimate the value of being able to pick a woman up physically. Most of you guys completely disregard that. Let me tell you, that is a super important thing for women. You being able to pick her up, that carrying across the threshold thing, that's important to them. To you as a man, that's inconsequential. But to women, that is super major. Super, super major. That you are able to make her feel like that. Wayhep said his back hurts, can't do it. Bruh, oh, this is not going to be good for you, man. Brother, you can't go out like that. You can't go out like that. Don't do it. I know some of these chicks today, I get it. I understand. Some of them here, it's like just the thought of trying to pick them up. It's just like, oh, you feel like you getting ready to go for the dead, like you Mark Henry going for the deadlift. It's just, I understand. But just stick with me here. I'm just saying, for a female who actually can be managed, that's super major for you to be able to do that. That is super major to make her feel like she's lighter than air. I'm saying that you have physically changed the environment she's in. You physically altered that. And as men, men are prone to disregard that because we ain't looking for nobody to pick us up. I'm saying for females, that when they talk about feeling safe, that's what makes them feel safe. Shout out to my man Wayhep. He done set up here and threw me his chiropractor money. Brother Wayhep done threw me his chiropractor money. He said he gonna skip out on this trip to the chiropractor, so he can go ahead and do that. By the way, shout out to everybody else here who has contributed to support tonight's program on PayPal, Super Chat. Thank you very much for your support. We appreciate that. Yeah, I just want you to understand here, that's a super major thing. That's a super major thing. Big major. When you can make a woman feel light, that you can physically make her do that. I mean, you're not telling her you strong, you're showing it. I'm saying that's physical confirmation to her. This is why women, fellas, you're not gonna like this, but this is why women don't like dating short men. They don't like that. Damn. I ain't beating up on you, but fellas, you 5'7". You might be the nicest dude out there, but I'm just saying, dude, you're 5'7" and she's 5'7". She's like, oh, this ain't gonna work. God forbid she's 5'8" or 5'9". It's like, oh man. But fellas, that's the reason a woman doesn't want a man shorter than her, because she's like, oh, you can't pick me up, so you're lighter than air. That's not gonna happen. Fellas, I mean, but that's reality.
And deal with it, nigga.
That makes her feel feminine. That makes her feel womanly. A fella shorter than her, that doesn't make her feel womanly. A fella who is taller than her, stronger than her, can pick her up, do all these things, that makes her feel womanly. And that's why these chicks are sitting up here going crazy. They hiring private investigators. They're giving up their county commission jobs. The DA is sitting up here being a damn fool and letting folks sit up here and put her behind the 8 ball as well. I mean, there's a reason for that, man. There's a reason for it. By the way, same thing with Fannie Willis. Now, old boy here, he might not want to pick her little chunky self up, but I bet you he could probably get her up there. He probably could. I hope he bring a back brace, but he could probably do it. And old boy over here, he could do it as well, most likely, assuming he's not on that military disability, which you all know is a scam. But I'm just saying, when the way he presents, the women are like, hey, that's supposed to be me. I'm supposed to have that. You're not going to talk her out of it. Caller from Area Code 404, you're on live with The Business. What's your name? Where you calling from?
Hey, JB, this is Saeed calling from Atlanta, Georgia.
Hi, Saeed from Atlanta. What's on your mind?
Hey, yeah, this is a great topic that we're talking about tonight. If you may, I would like to run back on a story that my experience that I had went through a couple years back. I had like this situation where I had this girl, she was just like crazy over me. Like, you know, long story short, she wound up, she had access to my phone, and she wound up finding a picture with a prior ex. She had my name tatted on her or whatnot. And that struck a chord in her because the girl I was dealing with at this time, I took her virginity or whatnot. So she was like comparing herself to my prior ex, saying like, oh, okay, like, which one do you think is like, you know, more important? Like this girl right here getting your name tatted on her or me giving you my virginity? I told her my honest answer. I was like, man, I think both of them are equal, you know? And bro, I tell you, like, she was just on me like white on rice for like the rest of the time. Like she got so like clingy and just blowing up my phone, and I had to let her go. Like I had to cut her off, and it wasn't easy. I really had to get like a restraining order on her because it got to a point she wasn't in control of the relationship, and I wanted ways out because I felt like she was keeping me away from my goals that I had set for myself. So I say all that to say, women, they really down for you, bro. Like they'll really show it, and they're willing to like really like risk it all. Like, you know, by all means, like they don't care.
Well, I mean, but their definition of all in many regards is different than ours. So you got a chick who claims that, and she lost her virginity to you. Okay. I will tell you that I think you gave the wrong answer to that question. I think that was the wrong answer. Because here's my thing. You said you had an ex who got your name tatted on you. That's great and everything. Why was she your ex?
She was my ex. The one prior who got my name tatted, I had let her go because she was talking to. She had a guy best friend at the time.
Okay, thank you.
That I told her,
thank you. All right, you see, y'all. He could have just said infidelity. She talking to another dude. And my point is, so that was the value of putting your name on her. Because remember, you don't get to decide how valuable that gesture is. She's the one who will determine how valuable the gesture is, because if her behavior and the gesture do not match each other, then it was worthless. She's just another screwed off, imbalanced psycho chick who defaces her body, and we got plenty of those. And she will go to the tattoo shop and get some artist to sit up here and write some other dude's name over yours in a different color. So women today have been conditioned to think that tattoos are like stickers on a car, even though that's not what it is. So I'm just saying that, by the way, I want to appraise you or something here. You were saying, I think the tattoos was more concrete of a gesture. And I'm like, actually, no, not really. Because I'm like, as soon as you told me she was my ex, but she got a tattoo. I'm like, okay, but that clearly the tattoo doesn't mean very much. Now, maybe to you, that tattoo is significant. And maybe you understood the ramifications of a permanent body marking. But what I'm saying is that when females are emotional, the first thing they start doing is cutting themselves up. So for you as a man, that would have been a major concrete move for you. For her, it's only a concrete move if her behavior matches up with it. And according to you, the first thing you said she had a male friend. Now, here's the real thing. Did she have this male friend while she was getting that tattoo?
Yes, she did.
So, brother, I just want you to take a step back and just consider what that tattoo what its value really is, what its significance really is.
Mm-hmm. I understand now because that happened about 5 years ago. And, we were young. I was 20. I was 22 at the time, and she was 21. So, it was being young and naive. But I knew it wasn't anything serious. That was just it's a situation I went through.
That's interesting. You said, I knew it wasn't serious, and meanwhile, she's getting tattoos. So she very clearly wanted to indicate something with that. Now, I'm not going to necessarily say permanence, but I'm just saying, by the way, you're saying it wasn't really that serious. Okay, but you thought it was, and she's getting tattoos.
Yeah, I did think it was that serious at the time. I did.
Well, just consider those things. And the other thing is, like I say, with the young lady here who may or may not have been a virgin when you got with her and whatnot, I want fellas to consider that as well. That's an important thing to consider as well, is, you don't want to make enemies out of people who shouldn't be. Now, there are some people who will need to be enemies, but I highly recommend that men don't do that. That's not a wise thing to do. I'm a firm believer. That's the reason why I tell guys, hey, whatever your intentions are, whatever you want to do, be straight up the middle with that. And don't move. Right. Be polite, be polite, be civil. But just when she wants to know about that, if you want to be non-exclusive, you say that. Don't try to shade it. I'm doing this program tonight to show y'all, dude, welcome to non-exclusive city. This is it. Welcome to the non-exclusive era. We don't have to do that anymore, man. The females aren't even expecting it. They're just hoping for it, but in reality, they're not expecting it. There's no reason to lie unless you're just a dishonest person. In which case, the problem she has with you is not that you want another female. The problem is, oh, you're a liar. Well, nobody likes a liar. So you don't have show her that you got character. Character doesn't mean monogamy. Monogamy is not an indicator of character. Honesty is.
Right.
Honesty is an indicator of character. Reliability is an indicator of character, not monogamy. Monogamy is an indicator of a cultural norm, but not of character. Right. Now, understand, I don't promote polygamy because man tends to not handle that very well throughout history and certainly isn't doing it now. I can understand biology. So what Don said about variety, well, certainly biologically, variety, we are as men wired for that because the human race would not be able to go on if men didn't have that proclivity to us or the ability to do that. Well, so certainly we do understand that. However, you should not put power in the hands of an individual who's reckless and doesn't know what to do with it. And if all he's going to do is start blowing up the landscape, oh, he doesn't need to be doing that. So we have enough reckless, irresponsible men as it is. So the thing they're holding against you would be being dishonest, being irresponsible, being reckless, being unreliable. Well, that's a character trait. Well, yeah, not saying that, man, I'm not comfortable with just one woman. So that would be my thing right there. So I don't know. I don't know what happened with the young lady. Maybe you fumbled the ball on that. Maybe you misused it. Not really sure. Maybe she had issues. Certainly, if you felt like you had to get a restraining order or something, maybe there were issues with that. But then again, I'm just going to say one more thing. What do you expect when females feels like she's lost everything?
Chaos, pretty much.
I mean, I just want guys to keep that in mind. It's just like, by the way, if relative to anything else, if you were her everything, how do you expect a person to respond when they're about to lose everything?
You start to see their teeth, basically.
Now, I'm not saying it's okay. I'm not saying it's okay. I'm not saying it's acceptable.
Right.
I'm not saying it's right. I'm not saying I condone it. I'm not saying that you were wrong. I probably would have told you to do the same thing. But what I am saying is that, by the way, if you're letting the female know, I'm about to take everything from you, it's like, okay, don't be surprised if they match your energy.
Right.
Especially kind of if you're bold in their face with it. It's like, yeah, I'm about to do X, Y, Z and this, that, and the other. And nothing you can do about it. It's like, oh, well, I might be able to do something about it. Makes sense. I'm just saying, try to avoid that one. Even if there has to be unpleasantness, try to handle them with, at least show that you want to handle them with care. I feel like that's the most a person can really expect or demand of you, is that you handle them with care. That doesn't mean giving them what they want, but definitely it's like, okay, I'm not going to slam you down. I'm not going to drop you down. I'm going to try to ease you down if I can, especially if you cared about this person, got respect for him, okay, I'm not going to just dump you on your head, but I can't carry you any further either, because that's not where we're at. They really need to respect that, by the way, that's not where you are with them. This idea that, okay, I give you my virginity and you give me the rest of your life. Okay, well, wait a minute. I'm not so sure about that one. Now, that might be a bit of immaturity sitting in there. Problem. I wish I could tell you that goes away as they get older, but I'm doing a whole story here tonight that is proof that actually that doesn't go away. Right now, she's going to tell you because she's a virgin.
As well, JB. I'm sorry.
Go on.
No, I'll say I'm a millennial, and I really believe, or I feel like kind of like sketchy about getting married nowadays. Like considering where society is right now. Like I really feel like there's like a huge disconnect. With just being able to have that true love, like how our moms and grandparents, how they had back in their day. Like you said earlier, like all that stuff is gone.
Well, okay, here's the issue. You say that true love like our grandparents had. First of all, I I don't think you all should refer to it that way. I'm older than you are, I'm pretty sure. And you were not there with your grandparents when they were your age. So in reality, you don't really know what their perspective on that was. Now, we imagine it's similar to ours, but we also know that there have been some radical changes and differences. So you might be making assumptions about how they saw it or what they expected. So when you say, quote unquote, that true love like our grandparents had, what exactly do you think that means?
Just like that real connection, that authentic, just organic love that they had, just the unity that they had together in raising the family.
Okay. Well, you know what? There's something to be said for that too. Although I don't think that it's gone away. I just think that we need to be very clear about how we define it. Okay. In a manner in which you can have practical today. Well, what would that be? You want somebody who is as invested in you as you are in them. Call it equally yoked, call it in love, call it whatever you want to. At the end of the day, this is power dynamics, not dating. Improper or out of balance power dynamic is where one person is being exploited. That they're giving, but not getting anything that they wanted or of equal value if they wanted. So in balance would mean that both of you are giving proportional to what you're receiving of equal value. That's balance. They are as invested in you as you are in them. Ideally, what you're trying to say is, I want a woman who is my everything and a woman she can be my everything and I can be her everything. That she sees me as her everything and I see her as my everything. Well, everything is a huge word. You shouldn't use that word unless you actually mean everything. Now, when you say I am fully invested in this person, that's everything. Okay. Now that I can quantify. True love, I don't know if I can quantify that. How do you define it? How do you measure it? I don't know how you measure it. I know how you measure investment. I know how you measure that. And investments require sacrifice. Now, if she's off getting her name tatted on herself and yet she's talking to other dudes, she ain't sacrificing. That wasn't very hard to figure out. And if you laying up with her and, she's paying all the bills, I'm like, okay, well, he's not very beneficial. And there's the other thing you got to make sure of. I was going to mention this before. It doesn't matter whether she's a virgin or whether she's not. The bottom line is, if a woman has been throwing her legs open for you, she feels you owe her. It doesn't matter whether she's a virgin or whether she is run through by 300 men. If she's throwing them legs open, as far as she's concerned, that thing still has the same value it did when she was a virgin. You owe her. That doesn't go away. As they get older, I'm showing y'all this. I'm doing a nice program to show you, as they get older, the entitlement that if she's having sex with you, that she's got an ownership stake in you. That's not going to go away. On account of the fact that, as far as she is concerned, sexual access to her is something you get to, quote, take with you. Which, of course, is nonsense. But the bottom line is, as far as she's concerned, you were using her, when in reality, that's not even remotely close to reality, but that's the only way they can say it, to try to sit up here and trap you into something you don't want to be trapped in. But it doesn't matter where they are on the sexual scale. If she's having sex with you long enough, she's like, no. That's the down payment on a relationship. That's supposed to be throwing these legs open is supposed to be a down payment on a commitment.
Okay.
Remember that for the rest of your days. This is not for just virgins. Remember that for the remainder of your days. I don't care whether the female is 20 or 90. If she's having sex with you, she considers that to be a down payment on a commitment. If she looks you square in your eyes. Now, here's where you fellas better wake up, and then I gotta let you go. I don't care if she looks you square in your eyes and tells you, yes, I understand you're talking to other women. and I'm okay with that. You need to understand that that is not a truthful statement. Not because she wants to lie to you, but because she will not stand by that. On account of the fact that biologically she doesn't want to stand by that. So verbally she can and legally she can, but biologically she cannot. If she keeps sleeping with you, the more she does that, the more she's going to want to have security, which means, by the way, he will not have the option of leaving. That will make her feel secure. Thank you very much for giving us a call. It's got nothing to do with rationality. It is completely irrational. Guess what? It's what they want. And what you're seeing here today, folks, is they are taking relationships. As men, we're no longer being asked. We're being told, oh, you in a relationship? I am? Yes, you are. As a matter of fact, here, hold this tracker on your car. Here, hold this tracker on your car. This is a county commissioner who put a tracking device on this man's car. Now, she knew he had a girlfriend, this woman here in the pink, this psycho here. She knew that he had a girlfriend when she hooked up with him, was calling and taunting the old girlfriend, talking about, I stole your man, boo. Dude is just trying to live. And then when she realizes, he's like, you know what? Let me just bounce between the both of y'all for a minute. The county commissioner's like, oh, let me put a tracker on your car just to make sure you ain't going back over there to old girl or anybody else, because I'm trying to win this ego contest. We're talking about a county commissioner. And oh, yeah, by the way, nobody is discussing charges against her either. A government official elected and just has admitted to crime. This is at least stalking, and no one is discussing charges. Now, do you think that that's going to discourage women from doing this kind of behavior? Or do you think this is going to take the damn me brakes off for them doing this kind of thing? They literally are just in Atlanta. They're literally watching a county commissioner admitting, yeah, I put air tags on the phone and I hired this other psycho over here. I hired a private investigator to stalk this man. Nobody's talking about charges against either of them. They both just walking off into the damn sunset. What is the message you think this is going to send to every female in Atlanta now? That these are the new rules. These are the rules. I mean, she's sitting there saying, yeah, I put tracker on it, tags, all right. The damn police like, okay, well, never mind. Now, if a black male did this, he'd be lucky if he didn't get shot dead by those same police. The female's like, okay, well, ain't no rules. We can do whatever, and all I got to say is, well, I's in love. And so there we go. There's no male privilege for this, but the female's got a privilege for that. The 720 degrees of analysis that you'll receive absolutely nowhere else. Call from Area Code 347. You're on live with The Business. What's your name? Where you calling from?
Yo, am I on?
What is your name? Where
Hello?
you calling from?
Yeah, I'm Jay. I'm from Uptown, New York.
Jay from Uptown, New York. Where is Uptown, New York specifically, Jay?
Washington Heights.
All right, what's on your mind?
Yeah, I just wanted to build on what you're talking about because I was watching a video earlier today that was talking about the situation of, women and finance and whatnot. So the guy was talking about, it was an older dude, and he was bringing up the fact that back in like the 1960s, you could live in a 5 people house with just the father working, and systematically, I guess, through inflation and, women's rights and all that type of stuff, they started nobody was regulating the inflation, so now we're living in a situation where we're at now, where a lot of people are, basically have to have one or two jobs, to be able to live. I saw a stat that this year is the highest percentage of homeless in America, and since they've been keeping up with that stat, yeah, just wanted to bring that.
Thank you very much for giving us a call tonight. I'm sure you all got a lot of benefit out of that call. All right, y'all. Like I said, there's another shout out to the brother here. He's doing his thing. He's there in Atlanta. He's doing his thing. Here's another shot of him right now. So the females couldn't help themselves. They couldn't help themselves. Okay, that's the excuse they're using now. Yeah, it's okay for me to hire a private attorney to figure out this other chick calling the phone here because I hired a private attorney so I could get him fired. I tried to get him fired from his job because I didn't like that he was with another female, which really just demonstrated why it is that the men ain't really trying to deal with Miss Pink Panther. So they're willing. This is the level. This is the investment they're willing. You know what? Here's my question. Hey, look here, little pink psycho. I'm wondering here. Did you ever spend as much money on this man as you spent on private investigators? I'm just wondering here, just for my edification. Did you ever spend as much money on this man as you spent on private eyes to go stalking him? I wonder if you ever bought him a gift that was worth as much money as you spent stalking him. I'm just wondering. During the whole time you were with him, did you spend as much money on gifts and rewards for him as you spent on private investigators and paperwork to stalk him? Same thing for you too here, Miss Bogus County Commissioner. Same thing for you. While you're sitting up here making the Apple Corporation rich and buying air tags and listening devices, installing. So I wonder if you ever spent as much money on gifts for this man as you spent on surveillance devices to try to control him. I'm wondering, you all, and maybe I'm just wrong, but I'm pretty sure based on what I'm seeing here, I don't think that's what you did. I don't think that you ever spent as much money showing appreciation to him as you spent trying to control him and trying to bully him. I want you all to think about that for a few minutes. You go look up the price for 3 air tags or a listening device in a car. And by the way, they didn't explain whether or not these things were installed or whether she put them in there, because if she paid to have his car bugged like that, oh hell. But think about that for just a few moments. These women are willing to spend hundreds, if not thousands of dollars. Hundreds, if not thousands. Do you think that this man ever received that in equal value as a gift? And then you wonder why it is that the men are like, we good. Then you wonder. So fellas, going forward, just understand, they're like, hey, look, I don't care if you got a girlfriend. I don't care if you have a wife. I don't care if you're my subordinate employee. I'm going to take a man. Now, when men say we're going to take a woman, it's like, here comes the prosecutor. The women are like, oh, we taking a man. No bones about it. No excuses given. I'm a wife. You coming with me. And if you don't, I'm going to make you. And if you still don't, I'm going to punish you. All I can do is inform you, fellas. And all any of us can do is watch our backs. The system is against us. All any of us can do is watch our backs. I am not telling you that what I'm giving you is a fail safe. What I'm telling you is that what I'm telling to you here, from my observation, this gives you your best chances because you haven't done anything that entangles you. You haven't done anything that's permanent. You haven't done anything that you cannot get up and physically as well as legally walk away from. They're going to try to apply the super heavy pressure on you to tell you that you have to give them something that you can't walk away from. I'm telling you, as a man, that is the most powerful thing you have, is your ability to get up and walk away. That's why literally everyone wants to take it from you. Everybody wants to take away a man's ability to get up and leave. You know why? Because the benefit of having us is tremendous when it's the right man. And if you're a fellow who checks all the boxes, everybody wants a piece. So you being able to just come and deal with them and make sure that you have nothing that permanently commits you to them, or that you get to call that shot on your terms, it's your call, your way, man, that is the damn sweet spot. I can't tell you anything else beyond that. That's the sweet spot. That's the sweet spot. Shout out Creole King, said you almost lost a very lucrative contract because you did your job and accidentally didn't give the older black woman enough attention. Yeah. I mean, if they have proximity to you, because here's the other problem, not just them having proximity. That's what I was saying before. What about all of her previous experiences? Remember how I told you all, I've been educating you about this for years. What has Jason taught you about unspoken female assumptions? The problem with a chick and her previous relationships is that when she meets you, she's coming to you carrying the baggage of those previous relationships. So she's going to treat you in a manner in which those relationships have conditioned her. So if she feels, even if it's not true, even if it's not factually accurate, if she feels it's that way, if she feels that men have been, quote, getting over on her all this time, well, guess what? When she meets you, as I said, the next sucker who comes by, she's like, that's it, I'm dragging him. Yeah, if she feels like the men have been getting all the benefits all this time and she hasn't been getting it, she's like, okay, screw you. Next fella coming by here, that's a wrap. So if the last 3 or 4 guys, if she feels like she didn't get the equity from the relationship or get out of the relationship what she feel like she's supposed to get, when you show up, she's meeting you like, okay, now he's going to make up for everything that they didn't do. And I'm going to make sure he doesn't have the ability to get up and walk away. So she's meeting you saying, okay, I have to trap him. You talking about, okay, let's get to know each other. And she's like, yeah, let's get to trap you. And I am not telling men what you cannot do. The only thing I'm saying is that you should not be dishonorable. You shouldn't be a liar. You shouldn't be unreliable. You shouldn't be any of this, that, or the other. You shouldn't do any of that. Be straight up. Be straight down the middle. Tell her what she's getting into. This is where we at today. And if she beats out the rest of the competition, and if you feel like she's worth that, well, then you can go in the other direction. If you feel like doing that. But I'm just telling you right now, when I say beat out the competition, that's from necessity because the females are out here slitting each other's throats. This county commissioner is like, yeah, I know that this is your boyfriend, Miss Pink Panther. Well, he wasn't your boyfriend last night when he was in bed with me. She's literally sending text messages talking about he's in bed with another woman.
But it was Commissioner Hall who answered the phone. Harris says the commissioner would not, but it was a business owner and mother, says she called her boyfriend Brock.
A business owner. Get the hell out of here.
Business owner and mother says she called her boyfriend Brock in March of 2020, but it was Commissioner Hall who answered the phone. Harris says the commissioner would not give her name but claimed she was Brock's fiancée.
That's dirty also. You answered this man's cell phone? You sleazy heifer. You answered this man's cell phone. See, she saw the other chick was calling, so she picked up this man's cell phone and she gonna answer it. That's not your cell phone. So y'all see what these chicks are doing here. She saw the other female. She's like, okay, well, this will get rid of the other one, so let me go make things messy for him.
Ms. Harris told the court later that day she began receiving text messages from an untraceable number stating that Brock had spent the night with an unidentified woman. Harris says she told Hall in a text.
So Hall, the county commissioner, was sending this other woman messages talking about, well, your man was at he spent the night with me. The reporter is trying to clean it up. The commissioner sent her, well, hey, Miss Pink Panther, yeah, I might be older and a little bit mo ragged, but he didn't mind it when he was over here. He been spending it. If you want to know where he is tonight, you ain't got to put no air tags on his car. I already did that. But do you understand this? So she's sending this other woman text messages to say, by the way, I'm laying up with your dude right now. Oh, do you know where your man was last night? He was with me. Mystery solved. He was with me. And the other chick was like, oh, okay, well, game on. Both of you niggas is done. Watch me write a letter. I'm going to get both of you. If I'm going to be without a man, you both going to be without a position. If I got to lose, we all going to lose. That was literally what she tried to do. Now, she's made her ex-boyfriend a millionaire now, the hard way. But I want the fellas to understand this is what we're dealing with. So do you think I'm going to advise you to make permanent connections under these circumstances? Hell no. The whole reason why this man did not sit up here and do something permanent with the pink chick is because he's like, hey, he could probably tell, yeah, you the kind of chick would do something like that. The only real mistake that he made, was where he works. He probably didn't see that was coming or that she would do something like that. But that was really the only mistake. That she did that. And then the woman that he's chief of staff for responds the damn silly way that she did. So rather than just let it be done, she's sitting up here. You got two women sitting up here trying to put him into chattel slavery. The pink wearing single mom who can't just accept, hey, baby, this is what you qualify for. She's going to try to control him. And then the aged out chick here who's like, oh, you still talking to old girl. You need to quit that. And I'm going to put stuff on your car to see if you are. And I'm going to kick you out the office instead of just saying, hey, you had your turn. You rolled the dice. You had your turn. It come up snake eyes. That's it. Leave it where it is. By the way, that's one more thing. Folks, all these so-called professional women. I mean, you're a professional woman, and yet you are not professional enough that, by the way, you can't work with the fella you used to be sleeping with and keep it professional at the office? I'm strong and independent and I'm professional and degreed. Okay, well then here, you're going to be professional and keep it. All right, well, we ain't laying up together no more. See you tomorrow. So you're not making a distinction between that as when he show up at the office. It's like, okay, my boyfriend is at the office. My ex-boyfriend, no, he's your chief of staff. You were perfectly fine with him being your chief of staff before he was laying up with you. Why is he not okay? What is he doing now that no longer qualifies him as chief of staff? Okay, we've been looking at each other naked. Well, I mean, all right. Well, can you keep it professional? I thought y'all are professional women. All right. I thought they were professional women. All right. All right. That's what you get. I just want the fellas to be very, very clear on that. Be very clear on what you see. Fellas, this is the landscape that you are in. They're not, if you are a fella who is about something and you're available, these major cities now, these major cities are war zones, man. It's never been a better time in some regards. It was the best of times. It was the worst of times. It was the best of times. It was the worst of times. All I'm saying is move accordingly. Move accordingly. Let me send a shout out here to Veronica. Thank you very much for your support here on tonight's program and the super chat. We appreciate that. She sent me some diamonds, so I don't know if that's the cost of an air tag, but I'll give you credit for that. I don't know if that's how much they spend on air tags now. I don't know if that's how much they spend on air tags, but I'll give you credit for that. So I'll give you credit. Just understand, I was giving you the heads up, fellas. From here on in, this is what we're dealing with. I want all of you men listening to me. I want all of you to maintain your value, increase your value, boost your value from now, from the cradle to the grave. That's what you do. But understand, it is a ravenous, cutthroat, ruthless environment right now. Men of value, men of competence, especially those who have the physical, emotional, social, financial confirmation. Dude, it's a war zone. It is cutthroat. It is ruthless. Ain't no rules, no holes barred. Anything goes. The females are shanking and stabbing each other left and right. In some cases, they are literally killing each other. And you in the middle. Keep your eyes and your ears open, fellas, and recognize this is just where we are. This is just where we are. We're going to go ahead and wrap things up here tonight. It's been a bit of a long program here, but for all of my long haul truckers, my night shift nurses, my warehouse workers, my self-employed people, thank you very much for sticking with us here. We got you through your shift, at least halfway through it. If you are new here to the business, welcome to the program that all your favorite YouTubers love to hate watch. Click that red subscribe button. Click that yellow notification bell. Join us each and every time that we are here if you are not members of our Patreon. The link is in the description. Been getting a lot of folks over there now who've been calling for different things here, so we're really getting off in the woods of it here. I love to check back on folks a year later. My track record is pretty good in that regard. If they stick to the script, run the game plan, goes pretty good otherwise. So that's definitely what you want to keep up with here as well. So we do that on the weekends at 12 noon Central Time. You're definitely invited to join us. I want to thank all of you for tuning in to tonight's program. Thank you for watching live or recorded. Thank you for liking, subscribing, and sharing. And this concludes this broadcast of The Business. I am your host, your brother, your humble servant, Mr. Jason Black. And until next time, my brothers and my sisters from around the world, remember, handle your business or your business will handle you.